Red and blue lights are flashing in front of Zach's eyes. He can see a growing number of people gathering at the school gates. They are being driven back by stern orders to stay inside the school grounds. This isn't what any of them expected. It isn't even the kind of accident they expected, let alone the solution. This situation might even be beyond the skills of their trusty manager, air quote. He doesn't like this.
Hey, the police seems to be closing off the road. Is that really okay?
I don't know. It feels like we're being trapped inside the school.
Calm down. They've probably dealt with this kind of situation before. It's just a bunch of security guards. I'm sure there's a way of getting out of this there's a way of getting all of this sorted out.
I guess you're right. Justin, aren't you going to answer the phone? The key now is not how to deal with the group, but what will happen afterwards. The boss hasn't done anything so far. There's no way the situation could have set him up for his future at Hermitage. Be careful, there must be a reason behind it all. Anyway, what's going on at the school gate?
The police are herding people towards the schoolyard. Things got pretty heated with the doctors, but I don't know any details.
Is it really because of a murder? Let's just get everyone under control first so they won't spill any information. This place is rough enough for law enforcement as it is.
What are we going to do about Yasmin? We can't just leave her here, can we?
How should I know? Hell, things just keep crashing down on top of us. What should we do?
Damn, I have no idea.
Justin and Scarlett turned to the auditorium upside down in their search for Yasmin, but they didn't have any luck. This is like a completely one-sided boxing match that begins in the 4th round with no hopes of a comeback, making the pain even worse. At that moment, Justin rejoins the conversation. All we can do is hold on. Liam hasn't even met us yet, and Quinn is busy with her own business. As long as we keep it that way, Dan should be a problem. We've avoided the worst case scenario. Let the store manager take care of the rest.
I still don't want to give up just like that. Is there anywhere else we haven't looked yet?
The mountain. Other than that, we'll have to look outside the school grounds.
I see.
I'm thinking that even if we could find her again, those 2 students wouldn't necessarily be with her, would they?
I know.
Come on, let's get this show on the road.
Leave it to me. See you later. Ugh, what the hell is this all about? There you are. Had a hard time finding you. Huh? Manager, what are you doing here?
I was going to ask you the same thing. Follow me.
Where to?
The mountain. Dan, ... Surely he's already come to his own conclusion. He's already seemed to attract certain kind of events.
By the way, bring that weapon we borrowed. I have a feeling we might need it. Carrying that around openly? You have some nerve.
That's right. Just hold it in your hand. Even if you're stripped and ran around naked, no one would stop you right now.
As if they could stop me. But I'm not going to do that, just to be clear.
There's also this. Have a look. There appears to be some white pellets inside of a very old browned cloth. It's some kind of blue capsule. Zach takes it and examines it. The capsule doesn't seem to have any markings on it, but it's a little bent, as if it were handmade. It looks familiar somehow, but he can't remember why.
Huh? A magic potion?
Does elixir look like that? It's adrenaline, diluted. The effect of oral absorption is very poor, but it's better than nothing. Then again, you made it for me, so why would I need to explain this to you?
Huh? There's been a lot going on lately, and I've just been confused.
I'm afraid you're always a bit confused. You forget the most essential things.
Whatever. Why did you suddenly think of using it? What's next?
All the patients who showed up at the history building look like they've been drained dry. I don't know what happened to them. We definitely can't afford to slack off on the job. Dan, ... From what little knowledge Zach was about to... From what little knowledge Zach has about this kind of thing, his hormone is usually used as a stimulant. In the movies, they often show military doctors using this stuff to save soldiers. That said, it's not surprising that Dan, as a veteran, would prepare this kind of medicine for the team. But it's not. He shakes his head quickly, trying to readjust his facial expression.
You seem to know exactly what's going to happen, manager.
Because someone told me. The poor guy was desperately trying to keep a journal and he didn't know someone had found out about him. Now we have to ask someone else to show us the way.
What are you talking about?
Some little new discoveries. Anyway, keep up. The store manager's nervous chatter suddenly stops. He looks up at the sky. His face is cast into shadow, mirroring the clouds above. Damn, has it started already? Before he had any time to react, a dense darkness has enveloped Zach. The sky is darker than he has ever seen it before. Clusters of heavy black cloud hover about them, pulling up swirls and vortexes as if they were about to devour everything. You can vaguely see a few whips of color drifting through the dark clouds. Although they seem small, they are quickly becoming more intense. The breeze carries it with the smell of something burning. There's a slight hum in the distance, in the direction of the mountains.
I've never seen such a weird cloud.
They're just clouds. Where's Neko?
Absolutely everyone is being shoved into the schoolyard, so I guess the others weren't all able to get out of there. Wait, this feeling, manager? What symptoms did those patients experience after they visit to the historic building?
They were absolutely exhausted and felt very dizzy.
We better get a move on. My stomach is churning.
Let's head off to the schoolyard then. Wait! I can't move. Help! Help! What is this thing? Why? Now the skies turn purple. The schoolyard is packed with students and adults, and there's a feeling of desperation in the air. Zach's feet have been working against him the whole way, trying desperately to make him trip. At the same time, his heart is beating rapidly against his chest, urging him to keep going. Even though his mind is telling him to slow down, his body is following orders, as always. He doesn't want to stay in this place a second longer. However, as unpleasant as the experience is, the panicked people around him are worse off.
It spread so quickly.
Spread?
Nothing.
He quickly finds Cecile and Justin. They are huddled up in the corner of the playground, doing their best to stay conscious. They look as if they haven't slept for weeks.
There you are.
Where's Yasmin? Cecile doesn't answer his question at first, but shakes her head weakly.
We went to the auditorium, but the police were there too, so no luck.
It's not just Yasmin, the student president, and the student named Liam. They're gone. Justin begins to cough violently, the blood draining from his face. He gulps down air, but it doesn't seem to help. You could have saved yourself the trouble. Damn, why does this have to happen now?
Manager, what should we do?
It's too late. We can't do anything for them. Do you see those colors in the sky? They're spreading. It's spreading in the same direction as the disease. It's only a matter of time before the entire school goes down. I'm afraid this isn't just a minor problem. Scarlet, take Neko and hide. Dan and I will handle the rest.
I need to stay strong.
Ah, you practice karate, right? You two aren't normal, aren't you? Somehow Zach's feel as if Neko has said something like that before.
Manager, is there any medicine left?
That's all I have. At the end of the day, how could I know that you wouldn't even bring your own stash with you?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Leaving Yasmin might be dangerous.
There's no point in staying here. Dan, let's go.
Wait a minute, the mountain, right? I'll be right there.
You have 10 seconds. Time is running out. The skinny store manager is suddenly the most energetic person in the room. He pats Zach's shoulder, turns around, and runs back to the mountain. Zach can't help but sigh as he watches his figure gradually disappear.
Is this the end?
What do you think, dummy?
Don't call me stupid, I'm really not.
He points at his chest and begins to fumble around in his pocket.
Dan's been hiding all kinds of stuff from us.
Huh, why bring this up all of a sudden?
Because Dan always carries medicine with him. If it's really the medicine he gave the store manager, I wouldn't be foolish enough not to keep my share. At least that's how much I could fit in my pockets. Do you guys remember taking this stuff?
No, but this uncomfortable feeling is all too familiar. Did he share it with Scarlet and Neko in the past?
Probably. Anyway, take it quickly.
Zach pulled a medicine bottle out of his pocket and stuffed the capsules into their mouths.
Be gentle. How's that? Feeling better?
It may take some time to digest.
Same here, but
I seem to be getting back my strength.
Breathe steadily. If you're not breathing, probably it will be even harder to get back on your feet. That's easy for you to say, you little punk. Who do you think I am? Anyway, I'll go and meet the store manager now.
Wait, what did you find?
They look like strange records that probably have something to do with the body found in the auditorium. Thanks to those records, I remember the medicine. I don't know which of us actually survived. Sure enough, we still have to go to the mountains to find out what happened. But none of that matters.
Zach turns around only to see that the number of people falling unconscious around him is growing, which makes him particularly cranky right now. He hadn't clenched his pocket until the store manager reminded him Dan himself prepared these items a year ago. Ignoring Neko and Scarlet, he turns around and walks away. While Neko's plan is to ask the store managers for answers, Zach has come to his own conclusions.
All I know is this. Someone is definitely going to pay for this.
The teenager clenches the fist that is in his own. Nighttime? Evening. Okay, evening.
This is really killing me.
I can't get rid of this total sense of disorientation. Climbing over the fence at the back of the mountain takes me quite a while, and my clothes get caught up on the spikes at the top. I let myself fall. I drop heavily on the ground and immediately sprain my left ankle. It isn't too painful because of the adrenaline surging through my veins, but the occasional bright pain from the injury keeps me from running too quickly. The place has obviously been abandoned for some time, and there are leaves everywhere. Autumn has only just begun, but the trees are already eagerly shedding their own cover in the tumultuous rain. Yet, even with all these scattered leaves around, the forest is still lush and green, full of evergreens. Such a lush landscape is far from normal at this time of the year. Exuberance isn't always a good thing. The sound is getting louder. The buzzing has been floating around since we came close to the place, has stabilized now. It sounds pleasantly like a flute playing on the wind. The sound alone might have been a treat, if it weren't coming from all directions. A strange kind of laughter is mixed with it, and it's giving me goosebumps. I didn't feel this way at the foot of the mountain, and the growing weight on my chest makes me think that I must be getting closer to the heart of something. At least this means I must be getting closer to the problem itself as well. As I look up, the hazy colors in the sky seem to indicate a pathway that leads towards the top of the mountain. There's a Japanese saying that goes, "If you do not enter the tiger's cave, you will not catch his cub." With that in mind, I take a deep breath, trying to calm my aching lungs, and continue on my way. Store manager, ... The drifting echoes really do coalesce further up. There is a pagoda on top of the mountain which was kept in its original state when the academy was built. There is actually an ancestral tomb up there that has been passed down from generation to generation. I already knew about this before I took on the investigation, but that's about all the information I have. The school doesn't seem to make much of it after all. The pagoda isn't especially famous. If you look in the direction of the mountains from the school grounds, all you can see is the silhouette of the pagoda, which isn't very tall or conspicuous in the first place. I gather myself, avoiding various piles of leaves, and quietly climb the stairs that lead to the building. The small square has obviously not been properly maintained. Weeds and vines are crawling up the fence, and mushrooms are growing between the cracks in the tiles, transporting me to a time at which mankind has long since disappeared. In front of the pagoda, a crude stone platform holds a triangular metal pillar that resembles an altar. However, it is far removed from any altars I've ever seen, both in size and shape. It looks pretty crude, with no seals engraving or any customary incense, making it seem like a cheap imitation. Although it doesn't look like the real thing, the stone platform must have been there for years, since the signs of old age are becoming prominent all over it. 3 figures are standing at the edge of the stone platform, quietly proving to me that I haven't in fact been transported to a different time. We see Yasmin, Liam, and Quinn. Yasmin? Why?
She isn't alone. 2 students are with her.
Dan, you made it.
I spotted some movement up here, so I came to see what was going on.
What are you doing here?
God knows, but it certainly isn't anything normal. See, they look a little strange.
You call that a little strange? All 3 of the bodies in front of me are faintly fluorescent, a strange color emanating from them. I can't see their faces, and I'm not certain that something alive is spreading and stretching beneath their skin. It must be some kind of invisible presence. Despite being the smallest of them, Yasmin's presence is most pronounced. She is standing in front of the other 2 like a lead singer, her mouth opening and closing as if she were singing on stage. However, the sound coming out of her mouth isn't a human voice, but the ethereal buzzing we've been hearing this whole time. Can a human really make that kind of noise? Goosebumps erupt all over my body at the sound. Even so, the other 2 remain unresponsive. It's as if their consciousness has been powered off. They don't even frown as fallen leaves pass by in front of their face. I've never seen this kind of hidden glow before. It doesn't look like any color I remember, nor like anything that sunlight could produce. It's beyond words. I can't help but cringe as I shoot a sideways glance at Dan. I notice he is also shedding a few rare drops of cold sweat. This serene and bizarre atmosphere is getting to him just as much as me. That doesn't change what needs to be done. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. Should we go up there and check it out? I whisper in Dan's direction. He shakes his head, picks up a stone from near his foot, and throws it at a stone platform. The flying object disappears in midair. What the... I can't help out but question my eyesight at this point. Aside from the fact that the stone has literally disappeared, I can't make heads or tails out of it. Dan... ... For a moment, Dan looks dumbfounded, but he quickly regains his serious expression and bellows at the spot of which the stone disappeared.
Who's there? Show yourself!
Ah, it looks like we have guests. A steady voice addresses up, speaking with a strange accent. It seemed to be coming from the general direction Dan was aiming at, but I can't figure out from which point exactly.
So you're playing God now?
Question mark. I don't see a presence, but I'm still gonna use the voice of Dan until I have a confirmation.
I'm sorry, I didn't come to greet you both, but as you can see, I'm quite busy at the moment.
The voice drips through the air, sounding laid back and comfortable. For some reason, Dan's reaction is stronger than I thought it would be. His expression is going darker, and his clenched fists are shaking. I never seen the veteran actually nervous, but he's actually riled up right now.
Is that so? Since you're so busy, you probably wouldn't mind if I shot a couple of random people, would you?
Wait, don't! Before I can reach out to stop it, the black metal in Dan's hand makes a blasting sound. Oh shit, it's the Wanderer! It's the Deliverer!
See? That's recognizable.
At least he has... all he has is paint bullets and thousands of dollars. Could only buy one round for this expensive crap. I have to say that you're such a rude guest that I actually started to appreciate it. There seems to be a need to negotiate. No, negotiate may not be the right word here. I would have to show some sincerity too. The air raps as the color fades from it with a kind of squelching sound. Finally, the huge black lump of flesh is fully visible, taking in every corner of my field of vision. So wait, is the Deliverer this guy all along? Its muscles are stirring while ripples in his body look vaguely like eyes. Dull whispers ring out as tiny holes across its surface open and close, taking in the air. This definitely isn't a scene anyone could just make up. Such absurdities shouldn't exist in reality, but at this point I've climbed over the wall that common sense has built for me and face it head on. No! I can feel vomit rising in my chest. What the hell is that thing? Why does it live? No, why does it exist? My past knowledge has betrayed me, spitting on everything I've seen and heard up until now, and I have a headache that seems to be wanting to rip my brain apart. Dan seems to be in better shape than me. His face is as dark as he grips his shotgun tightly. He must not understand what he's up against here, and I nearly burst out yelling from all the things that are going through my head right now. You don't look so good. Should I call a doctor for you? The voice continues. A tall, lean, middle-aged man emerged from the dark wraith like a rider dismounting a horse. He's wearing a decidedly out-of-date trench coat. I have no sense of fashion myself, so I can't really comment on other people's outfit, but in this case it makes a statement. I reach into my pocket and quietly flips the power switch on the taser. We're all civilized here, so could you please stop whatever you're doing there? I've been waiting for them for 3 whole years, and I'm not going to wait around any longer. Besides, there's always a time and place for everything. I've missed a lot, and God knows if I live to see another time like this. 3 years. So you're the one who gave those artifacts to the school?
Huh? What are you talking about, manager?
Dan is obviously surprised, but now isn't the time to explain the details to him. I stare at the stranger in front of me angrily, but he just shrugs lightly and sighs. Looks like someone could keep their mouth shut. I thought trustworthiness was a virtue in your country.
That depends on the subject. I don't think the principal has done anything wrong at all.
You may think so, but while it looks not to be obvious, it might not be obvious. I myself am in a rather bad mood right now. So it shouldn't be too much to ask that you two get some proper rest now, right? As he says this, the black mass lifts itself off the ground, emitting an eerie chirping sound.
This has gone too far.
Dan mutters as he takes a slow step back.
The negotiation failed, I suppose.
I get the same feeling. Fine. Since you were brave enough to come to us, I don't suppose you're the kind of people who can be intimidated. The strange foreigner seems frustrated. He gently straightens his hat and covers his eyes with the brim. A nasty chill suddenly creeps up my spine. Forgive me.
Huh?
A black wave envelops my vision. Contrary to his enormous size, the fleshy mass is so quick that I can't keep track of this movement. Suddenly the shadow is right in front of me, It's loud, screeching, torturing my eardrums.
Ah!
I don't even have enough room to raise a hand to protect myself, let alone dodge the creature. I'm frozen in space. My right hand is tangled up inside my jacket, unable to draw my weapon. In the heat of a moment, Dak knocks me aside, his eyes murderous. The black mass doesn't hesitate and continues to grow, as if he doesn't really mind who attacks it. I close my eyes, waiting for the impact. I don't want to see my companion's miserable end.
Huh? However,
the sound I hear next is very different than expected. How's it going?
how's it going? All good?
Dan grins crookily at me. He's standing in front of me, casting me into shadow. The shotgun has disappeared from the tennis bag at his feet. No, he hasn't disappeared, it's just in a different place. A tattered piece of cloth is hanging from the front of the black mass. Looks like it was one tennis bag too. The creature is holding onto it like a shield. But that isn't the only thing embedded in his flesh. A piece of metal with blue paint is visible between the rags. It has been bent over with great force and is spewing large amounts of smoke into the air. An ice cold breeze is blowing from the direction of the creature. Ah. Well, somebody certainly did his own work.
I just used whatever was available.
Dan sneers at the man. The creature next to him is still trying to move, but is still so slow it might have just woken up from hibernation. The metal buried in his body is making him stifled, creaking sound. This whole scene looks like an old school horror movie. Did you use a cooling agent? Liquid nitrogen. I knew it would come in handy. Dan isn't the only one who answered him. Neko and Scarlet emerge from the edge of the trees. Each of them is holding up a metal air canister threateningly, ready to toss another one should the need arise.
Sorry.
Lucky we got so much of it. This school's chemistry lab is 1,000,000 times better than the one at our high school. Huh? Something about her statement struck me as odd, but now isn't the time to think about that. How did you know it would be here? We all have our own ways of doing things, manager. This level of preparation wasn't even necessary to figure out what was going on.
At the auditorium, we were told that the victim entered a room with another person. As of yet, the police have been unable to locate that person. It was a pretty bloody scene over there. After seeing the way the guy died, we decided he would have to figure out a play to deal with this mysterious clan who came out with red plate. Left without a plate. Deal with the mysterious cold plate who came and left without a trace.
Sorry, manager. We didn't know when it was going to attack, so we have to wait for it to make the first move. We got lucky.
No wonder it was carrying out that tennis bag the whole time. It wouldn't have been necessary to carry the shotgun on his own. But if our enemy thought it was a simple disguise for regular weapons, the liquid nitrogen tank would have remained concealed. Could it be that he was hiding it to avoid revealing his plan to me? I wonder. Regardless, you figure out to deal with the monster, so this might be a good opportunity. I pull out the taser and aim it at the foreigner. I'm sorry, I think we better get this over with before your bodyguard shows up. Oh, how awful. Be careful not to electrocute yourself with that thing. I'm sure we can all reach an understanding here.
That's completely up to you. Let those kids go.
I'm sorry, you seem to have misunderstood something. I wouldn't call them kids. Ah!
Don't say we didn't warn you!
Dan kicks the earth like a charging bull, running at his opponent from the side. Meanwhile, Scarlet and Nico toss their cylinder at the stiff mass of flesh on the ground. The canister hit the ground and soon began to emit large clouds of white gas. There you go. White mist engulfs a black heap of flesh until all I can see is a blurred shadow struggling haphazardly. Its movement getting slower and slower. The situation could have been far from us. Dan may not have been able to face our opponent on his own, but the arrival of Scarlet and Nico has turned this into a pretty perfect offensive strategy. Without thinking about it, I pulled the trigger of the taser. The recoil is stronger than I was expecting, but the weapon is effective. Plumes of smoke are clouding everyone's vision, and with 3 people attacking at the same time, the enemy won't realize what their true intentions are. I'm afraid even a high voltage electric shock wouldn't be effective against a monster of that size, so I'm hesitant to risk hitting one of the others in the chaos. So they aren't the ones I was aiming at. They are more worthy targets in the field of me to put this gun to good use. No matter what happened to Yasmin, if I can stop her now, we'll have enough time to question her afterwards. A metal marker is propelled into the air, dragging a slender cable towards his target. I can already smell the success of my sneaking attack. He's about to shoot Yasmin? Even so, the foreigner at the center of it all doesn't move an inch. It went through. Shh! I bet I didn't even harm a single hair on Yasmin when I tried to shoot her. Instead, something tall stepped right in front of her at the very last moment. There's a weird ghoulish creature, must be 8 feet tall. It's black. Is it the Bigfoot we were looking for? The guy in the lightning? Question mark, ... Electric shock don't show mercy, but the opponent's thick skin seems to be naturally resistant to such damage. It has sturdy limbs and a large bloody mouth. Its body is covered in folds. In forms alone, it resembles a great ape. But even the gorilla, which is known for his robustness, doesn't have that kind of stature or strength. Although he has a humanoid shape, his face looks like that of a deep-sea creature without any eyes. No environment on Earth would be home to such a creature, and now I'm beginning to understand where those strange eyewitnesses account concerning unidentified wild forest creature came from. However, this creature is clearly obeying some sort of command. It grunts and rips the cable off the taser, puffing out its chest at me. I throw a sideways glance at Dan. However, the sight that greets me is more disorienting than witnessing yet another supernatural creature. And the real Dan comes in. This is my cue to get an energy drink. Okay.
You're still so determined. You're so determined this time around. Shut up!
Two equally large figures are grappling with each other, neither of them showing any sign of relenting.
And that guy you trust? Shooting at children without even blinking. Damn. No matter how many times we go through this, he's still a selfish person. You must know what I'm talking about. Shut up!
What's going on? Why are there two Dans? Sorry, I always believed that victory comes from thorough preparation, so I got a couple more hands on board. That should be enough, right? Once again, I'm trying to wrap my head around a new situation, but my opponent doesn't hesitate. He takes a huge step forward, pushing everyone away from the man in the trench coat and the black mask. The sounds of shoes scraping against the ground is unpleasant, and even with Dan's best effort, there doesn't seem to be any way for him to injure his opponent. Despite appearances, even I can see that there is an essential difference in strength between the two. I'm certainly glad you're willing to help, but wasn't the deal to hide yourself until the time was right?
Sorry, couldn't help myself. I still owe his face a beating. You? Why? Why? This guy already killed Yasmin once. You expect me to let him do it again? It's just a taser, isn't it? Taser? It's more than just a taser when you use it on the kid with a heart condition. Again and again. The other Dan suddenly falls back a little, catching his opponent off guard before he lunges forwards. He punches his other self in the stomach, causing his opponent to fall to his knees. I can practically feel his pain from a distance. Dan, are you okay? Which one of us are you asking? Dan throws me against the trunk of the tree behind me. I can feel the air being knocked out of me. I open my mouth to make a sound, but my vocal cords can't manage more than a few futile hisses. Not only that, but the excruciating pain in my back tells me that the impact caused more than a little damage. My clothes are soaked and my back feels sticky and warm. The slightest tug feels like I'm ripping my skin apart and I break out in a cold sweat. My breathing is labored, and it takes a couple of seconds to realize that I've been run through by a branch. Manager? Are you okay? I can hear the alarmed voices of Scarlet and Neko from somewhere behind me. They must have run up to me at some point, because they are now doing their best to hold me in place against the tree. I should be happy that they're alright, but it isn't an easy thing to do in the current situation. You're obviously blind if you ask someone if they're okay in this kind of situation. Stop! Get away from him! Dan turns up in front of us, shielding us with his body as he pulls a dagger out of his sheath. That precious dagger has been hiding in his belt for years. It's large enough to actually kill someone. What if I tried to get closer? Enough is enough, my friend. I wouldn't risk your safety. That's just because I'm part of your plan, right? I'm here, but honestly, after seeing these people's stupid faces, I don't really care what happens to me. I see. But you know, unlike the other two, this thing doesn't listen to me that much. Almost as soon as he utters the word, the buzzing that's been surrounding him suddenly disappears, leaving only a sharp echo in my ear. Then, color begin to emerge everywhere. The orb of color. I've never seen a color this pure before. It's as it invaded the world without form or smell, just being. No matter what angle I look at it from, its appearance stays the same, making me wonder if my eyes are playing tricks on me. It looks cold, but it's giving off an invisible heat. After only a few seconds of gazing its direction, a burning sensation begins to creep up my face. What is this?
This is the only question that I have difficulty answering clearly to you. The man in the trench coat slowly approaches the cluster of color that is hovering above the stone platform. The snickering and whispers around it are slowly fading, as if to indicate that it is stabilizing. When I found it, it was just a fragile germ, not half as dangerous as it was reported to be. Believe it or not, I even tried to feed it myself, but it wasn't successful. Even so, we cannot truly understand this being. It has transcended time and space and has been recorded as a plague throughout history. Its appearance has always been accompanied by the death of the environment around it, even the destruction of whole cities. But that's not what it is. It is energy, a perfect formula for the universe. This planet is simply too small and barren for it, which is why it has to draw energy from everything around it. We are the ones who should be ashamed.
So, where did you summon it from?
Summon? No, I wouldn't presume to be that strong. It just so happened that we both get what we want this way. In fact, it appeared at various points in time, but there weren't many places where it could establish a foothold. It couldn't just find the right one. I simply used a little trick to move it here from that school and then waited patiently for it to stabilize. Look how much energy it has now, after being nourished by all of this green space for 3 years. Although none of that has anything to do with me. You should be glad you came back to this point in time. Otherwise, I couldn't guarantee that it wouldn't be you who gets drained. The chance of getting a germ like this one into our planet are slim to none. Even I have no knowledge of it other than the ancient texts that describe it. He seems to be in a pretty chatty mood right now.
What are you trying to do with it?
What does it do? Well, let me show you.
Ah! It feels as if my body weight has suddenly tripled, and I feel like I'm boiling inside. Blood rushes to my head, hot as lava. A sudden rumbling noise is building in my head, throwing me completely off balance. A moment later, my vision begins to blur. It feels like the very last moment before utter unconsciousness, but despite my having lost control of my body, I'm still completely conscious. I barely notice the muffled sound of my body hitting the ground through the haze of dizziness in my head. What is happening?
Didn't I tell you? It draws the energy from everything around it. You should know what I mean by now. Through the darkness, I feel some picking me up from the ground and gently propping me up against a tree trunk. The foreigner's voice appeared very close to my ear, and he continues to talk as if his mind were elsewhere. In its final stages before completing its metamorphosis, it devours the entire ecosystem for miles around until there isn't a single drop of energy left. I've heard that there have been traces of it around the world, but I never know if the rumors are true or not. Anyway, I tried this one 3 years ago. It was spectacular.
Metamorphosis?
Yes! When it reaches its grand final form, it will soon complete its metamorphosis. After today, there probably won't be a blade of grass growing here.
Why does it have to be like this?
Your first question is why? What if I said that I simply need everyone here to die in despair? Store manager ... All over Toro Memorial and all over the city, people will watch these ominous omens begin to descend above their head like in the book of Revelation. They may not know what the color means, but that won't matter. They will feel as powerless as you do, losing control over their own body. They will have trouble breathing and won't be able to have the strength to close their eyes. They will watch as those around them die from dehydration, and there will be absolutely nothing they can do about it. Some people may try to find out what happened, but I'm afraid there aren't too many people as smart as you. And even if they did, what could they do to me? The foolish would only feel fear, and the wise will become more and more desperate. It has to happen this way, or the rest of the ritual cannot be fulfilled.
Sounds like merely torturing us to death won't satisfy you.
It's just a part of the offering. If there were another way to do it, I would have been happy to do so. But in the end, I'm still a novice at wielding fear and despair, just about old enough to knock on the door of such a great being. He lifts the corner of his hat, revealing a patch of gray hair. Although, judging by his face, he looks to be in his 30s, the lines between his eyebrows can't be concealed any longer. It's funny how people build cities and civilizations, forgetting how much their ancestors were in awe of the great beings who wouldn't cast our planet so much as a second glance. We have fallen to shame through humanity's foolish deeds. But for those greater beings, time is child's play. All that matters is circumstance and method. By creating a time of fear and awe again, we will finally be in the position to pray to them again. As if these past 20 centuries never existed. Everything goes silent for a moment. Then he takes a deep breath, as if a great weight has been lifted off his shoulder, and pulls out a brass bell the size of a fist from his pocket. As for what exactly will happen, let me show you.
The ball goes up in the air. Oh, it goes bigger. Oh, it's about to crush the pagoda.
The sky is darkening, but with the chime of the bell, the colors floating through the air stretch themselves out again, rhythmically moving back and forth. I can feel some kind of force overhead, and although everything is silent, my brain takes the liberty of imagining crunching sound. The space seems so tightly compressed up ahead that is causing an unbearable pressure on the eyes and stomach. The crunching grows stronger, but the strange burning sensation is gradually disappearing. In contrast, the trees around us are beginning to shake, their branches growing at an alarming rate, while their leaves dance in the wind like wanderers who know their days are numbered. It must be a cloudy day, and one must venture to the highest point, otherwise one won't be able to communicate with them. Those are the rules people compiled back then. But I have gathered that this is because these were the circumstances after which someone first came into contact with these beings. This is part of the ritual, and although I couldn't understand its true meaning and didn't have enough literature to learn more, my instincts told me that something was bound to happen in this situation. Unfortunately, it only remembers this very moment, which is what makes the conditions so harsh. The good news is that there is always a way to make it happen if you have enough capital. Dark clouds, no thunder, no wind, everything is becoming more distorted and blurred by the second. So, you see, day will be coming soon. Question mark. I suddenly experienced something completely unprecedented. In this very moment, the air is an ocean. My planktonic tiny body is crawling out on the ocean floor, and there is a whale swimming overhead. There is no reason to question his existence. Everything is as it should be. My hand and feet are cold, and my blood is dancing in my veins. At this moment, I feel completely connected to the hundreds of thousands of lives around me. There is no distinction between human beings and animals apart from their shared fear of ignorance. It's not lying. Redacted is coming soon. Heed my call, King of the Infinite Void, Star Shifter, Foundation of the Universe, Creator of Suffering, conqueror of terror, destroyer, son of the void and chaos, guardian of the abyss, god of darkness, lord of dimension, wisest of beings, keeper of secrets, lord of the labyrinth, master of perspective, night wanderer, master of the gate, the almighty and eternal lord of the beginning. O Marat Tawil Yak Satat, Yok Sotot Nafel Fatagan, your servant calls you. Oh my god, he just summoned Yog-Sothoth. Yeah. The sphere became rings of color, distorted time and space. Something finally opens its eyes, and the order of the world is tipped over the edge. From way above this canopy of darkness, it casts its gaze upon the earth. I feel as if a stream of silver is passing through the skies. But this feeling doesn't come from what I'm seeing with my eyes. It must be a cloudy day and one must venture to the highest point. That restriction may have indeed have its reason. Sunlight is like blasphemy before it, and a mass of humans is more important than a single cricket. Without a lighthouse to guide it on its way here, our entire planet is but a speck of dust that it passes by. There is no way to observe, no way to name, no way to remember. Even if I close my eyelids, the vastness of this present is so deeply engraved in my mind I have nowhere to hide. Even though today I have experienced things in my life that I have never experienced before, I now realize that my previous experiences aren't worth mentioning at all. It washes away the pain and struggles within me in one breath, and then puts even greater fears into my head. Store manager, Dot. It isn't really worth the trip to the city, but the overall performance has to be checked and we need to make sure we all have the right tools. The company's main focus is to ensure successful sales of the new product. It will be the newest addition to the product lineup. That's a good place to start. The first step is to make sure that this new system will be able to meet the demands of the market. Ah, I see. When you don't understand the picture that's being painted, sometimes insanity is the only option. He is muttering to himself, his eye is still looking at the sky. It has dropped the bronze bell and the scroll has long since disappeared. It's okay to feel this way. I've done this same thing twice, so one more time isn't a big deal for me. For you, the only difference is whether you'll meet your end sooner rather than later. Store manager, When will it all be over, my friend?
If you count Toro Memorial right now and Manila 2 years ago, then all that's left is that great mother fishing village thing you mentioned at that Christmas celebration in some other city a year from now.
In that case, let's go to next year.
Are you sure everything went according to a plan 1,000 years ago? Even if you say the seeds have been planted, are you sure the ancient has enough knowledge to successfully create the ritual?
It has nothing to do with knowledge. The more ignorant people are, the more blind faith they have. They have enough manpower and they could read and write. More complicated rituals might have been a bit much, but they were surely able to perform simple animal sacrifice to build a pathway for that being in the depths of the universe.
Whatever you say. Let's go, then.
This Dan seems to know more than I thought he did. He saunters over to the two students on the stone platform and holds onto them tightly. None of us could have seen coming what happens next. An unexpected flash of light blinds me as their shape starts to blur into a growing vortex of color. It feels as if an illusion has enveloped the world. I didn't expect Umarok Tawil to take on this form. To my knowledge, he is always described as a humanoid figure.
A few years ago, I personally smashed this guy to pieces, and then he became pissed. He seems to have merged with some unlucky ball of energy that just happened to be passing by. I hope he isn't holding a grudge now.
Is that how you found out how to use it?
It was just a side effect that occurs when you uncover the veil. Crazy, really. Must have gone some damn good karma.
Your experience is beginning to sound interesting.
This isn't the right time. It was a big mistake trying to kill this thing in the first place. I thought following these guys would solve a lot of problems, but as it turns out, this cold-blooded guy is much worse than those irrational beings.
It looks like I stepped right into your personal affairs.
You don't really care, do you? Forget it. Hurry up!
The giant man steps into the light without hesitation, gesturing to his companion. The glowing color engulfs Dan's whole body as he strides closer to the colored vortex in the center of it. He steps right into it and disappears. But his companion doesn't follow him right away. Despite the fine beads of sweat already dripping from his forehead, he approaches me and taps me on the shoulder. As you can see, the odds are in your favor. ... But it's not like there aren't any other options. Want to join us?
What?
As I said, not many people are as intelligent and intuitive as you are. The fact that you've managed to find your way here in less than 2 days is a testament to your good instincts. It takes more than just brute knowledge to create enough events like this in the modern city. Ancient times are fine, but this city's radio environment is so complex that it's very difficult to keep everything quiet. You might not get your way right now, but I'm sure our rituals will be much more elaborate and go much smoother if we have a helping hand like yours. Now that you have no way out, why not consider a more constructive future?
So, you are planning to do something even more horrible?
It all depends on which way you think about it. The fact that you chose to investigate this place, even after a series of incidents, shows that you still value the lives of those around you. All I can tell you is that my plans will continue, and the only way you will keep them alive is to help me succeed in my plans. Otherwise, a small place like this won't be the only thing that's in danger. Store manager, ... How about it? I think you understand what I'm saying.
I do understand. That's why I cannot agree to it.
Question mark, ...
What you did here is just a peek into what you're going to do to 3 other places, right? How can you perform a ceremony of this scale and still say that everything will be fine?
So that's what you think? Then there's nothing more to say. After a long moment of silence, he seems to make this decision. You'll meet your end here. With this final declaration, he turns around and steps into the vortex after Dan. The pressure in the air finally eases up, and the flow of color begins to slow down. The sky, however, doesn't change, and the huge presence keeps on watching from above, growing ever more imposing. He began the ritual, but he didn't bring it to an end. The momentum is still building, and since the giant shadow appeared above us, the future is pointing firmly in the direction of despair. However, the most critical threat at the moment isn't coming from overhead. The black mass is still there. A being that is about to starve to death doesn't care if it has a terminal illness. The effects of the liquid nitrogens are fading, and the creature is twisting around slowly, creaking and gouging cracks into the ground. The scene is like a balloon on the verge of bursting. It could evolve into the worst possible scenario at any moment. This being has been around for a long time, considering the school in its backyard. My chest is starting to grow heavier from the puncture wound. Breathing is becoming ever more difficult, which tells me that there's no way I could drag a body away from this situation right now. Right now, the only chance to get away from here is... ... Looking at the colored vortex. Isn't everything just a gamble? I cautiously walk over to Neko and try to pull her up. She makes some vague noises, but her body is showing no signs of obeying her conscious command. This makes lifting her up very difficult, and I have to drag her across the ground for a good 10 meters. The cold is worse than expected as I pull the icy cylinder away from her, pulling with its pieces of skin. As I do so, I ease Neko into the swirls of color. Her shape seems to melt into the color until it disappears completely. It seems to have worked, so I wipe the sweat off my face and turn towards Scarlet. Scarlet may be quite thin, but Neko's weight has nothing compared to hers. I put her arm on my shoulder and inch her towards our destination. Next up is Dan, who weighs almost as much as the other two combined. The effort tugs at my wound and the aches in my throat is getting worse as the air in my lungs is becoming more and more precious. My muscles are becoming less obedient as they strain across my bones. I shiver in spite of myself. However, I eventually bite the bullet and finish the trip. The black heap of flesh watches as I move the three bodies into the unknown vortex. I can feel its eyes on me, burning with fury. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Woken up by the movement, Dan lifts his head slightly. He sounds exhausted, mentally more than physically. Cut the crap and stay put. I pat him on the shoulder and turn around. Okay, just one more. Yasmin is unresponsive, as if in a deep sleep, her brow furrowed. I still don't know exactly what happened to her, but whatever it was, it shouldn't have happened to such a small child. It sparked my last ounce of perseverance. The rest is up to... And everything turns negative. Exclamation mark. Ultimately, perseverance can't save the body. I can't catch my breath in time, and my left leg goes as limp as if it's been suddenly unplugged. My brain is desperately trying to reassure me that I will recover any second now, but that time never comes. Did the adrenaline wear off? I fall to my knees beside Yasmin. Dan wants to help, but his condition isn't any better than mine. The distance of 10 meters suddenly feels like a huge rift. It isn't over yet. Oh, now the black mask wants to do something. The shadow eventually shakes off the cold and stretches itself out again. It lets out an ear-splitting roar and collects itself into a ball. With a strange staring sound, the mountain of flesh flies up over my head and comes down in one fell swoop. It's over. I close my eyes as I wait for death to come. A ray of electricity cuts through the darkness. Without warning, the creature in front of me suddenly convulses violently. It whines and flinches, its entire body shaking. It's clearly on its guard, but it isn't targeting me anymore. Why won't you give up already? Through all the confusion, I can suddenly hear a familiar voice. Yasmin? I turn my head in the direction of the voice, but I can't see her small figure anywhere. Yo, what the fuck is this? A creature with an odd triangular shape is squirming near the vortex. Its surface is black and a pair of pincers are protruding from its body on elongated arms. A third arm has a piece of metal attached to it instead of a pincer. It is pretty compact in structure and almost looks like some kind of instrument. And for some reason it's holding one of those old-timey photographs. Like old-timey the photographic device. like the first camera. Like this is like an alien made of purple tentacles. Like two of them looks like pincers. The other one looks like a beehive. He has big bulging eyes. No irises, just white blobs. It has some tentacle lips, and two of them are holding the camera. This is weird. It weaves several tentacles at me, making a weird metallic noise. Although it looks intimidating, its presence doesn't scare me. Instead, I feel relief somehow. Because it has Yasmin's voice? It shoots another blaze of the metal device on its arm, repelling the enemy that is trying to approach it. No matter how vicious the black mass looks, its flesh is immune to the blinding rays of light. Okay. I can see the beams. Yeah. It's like magnesium blast. Like when you make sparks of magnesium explosion. Like it's like a purple light. It's very bright. Fast time. Not much.
Your
interference too big. Only this way. Directly come.
It shoots further beam while speaking in a language I can't understand. The flow of electric beam seems to be picking up speed, spilling up like a waterfall. The air begins to heat and distort in unimaginable ways, but the creature is showing no sign of backing down. The triangular-shaped being doesn't make a sound as it continues its onslaught towards the enemy, but one of his tentacles points in the direction of the swirling vortex of color. It has the same idea I did. Shh, everything's just a gamble. I tried to push myself onto my knees and tried to finish the last part of the journey. The loss of blood has drained me the most of my physical energy. I can't even breathe properly due to the pain in my lungs, and the consequences of my lack of exercise have manifested themselves in the pain in my arms and legs. Come on! Hell, I'm almost there! The black mass might have a large body, but that means a larger target area for the attack, and its flesh finally begins to crumble. It is emitting an astonishing amount of smoke, shedding its brittle and crumbling parts as fast as it can, trembling on the ground as it utters strange sounds like tiny curses. But this small victory comes at a cost. After a few seconds of intense shooting, the metal device attached to the triangular being is now glowing red. Its structure is disintegrating, the different components wiring so fast that arcs of electricity are leaking from its surface. The triangular creature is bending and twitching under the pressure of the electricity. Several holes in its body are leaking brownish-green liquid. The air is filled with the stench of burning and the stench of rotting plants.
Go in! Don't hesitate!
Are you okay?
Go in!
It seems to have reached its limit as it mechanically repeats the word. Clearly something is inflicting pain on it, and now the tall, dark creature warps in right next to it. The triangular creature has lost his weapon along with half a tentacle. Yeah, the camera is gone. Question mark, dot dot dot. The fleshy monster shaking is growing more intense, and it lets out a terrible cry as its enemy moves towards it. The mass of flesh is writhing under the damage that's taken. The situation is completely out of my hands. Meanwhile, the triangular creature is still holding up one of its remaining tentacles, firmly pointing at the glowing vortex behind it. The swirl of colors has nearly come to a halt, and I have no idea what might happen next. Yes, I know. For some reason, my eyes are still a little wet as I hug Yasmin tightly, gritting my teeth as I move towards our final destination. Then I run towards the vortex. Da da da. I trip My legs failed me once again. Black flesh has crept up on us unnoticed and has wound its way around one of Yasmin's ankle like a chain, keeping her in place. It really is an intelligent creature. Get off of her! Out of our way! We're clearly only 2 steps away from ending this, but fate has no intention of letting me off the hook. My desperation is as strong as its fervor. The Black Surge reaches for its final victory. What the hell is this? It fades to black. ...
Hey! I want to help too.
Eh? Black square, black square, black square, black square. She shoved me. Redacted. Redacted.
And
Redacted. Redacted, redacted, redacted. Redacted, redacted, redacted. Redacted, period. Redacted. 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 Color finally fills every corner of my mind. All you zombies. Reach the bad ending of chapter 5? What? That was a bad ending? Phantom Remix. Complete chapter 5. How did I reach a bad ending? This is weird. Yasmin! Store manager, ... What is this? Oh, Justin. You don't seem very responsive yet. Are you still not fully awake? What happened was pretty rough. You should have looked. You should have that looked at.
But it should be fine by now. Wasn't it a year ago?
It's confusing. How did you get out of that unscathed? There are no scars, not even bruises. Shadowy silhouettes are moving in and out of my field of vision. Everything is blurry. They sound familiar. I remember these voices. How did you guys get here? What is all this nonsense? I'll be upstairs as always.
Sorry, it took us quite a bit of effort to get in here.
The lock on that door is pretty strong for such an old building. Or at least it was, I guess. Cecile, sorry for breaking in. We'll pay for it later. No, don't worry about that. That's on me. Keep rubbing my eyes so hard that my head starts to hurt. Multiple memories keep overlapping in my mind. Some old, some recent, and all of them are big, cluttered mess. Their correct order, however, is quite clear to me. Like there's the Wanderer. And the creature. For a short moment, words fail me. Is this Hermitage? Scarlet. Yes, that's right. This is Hermitage. Your home. Scarlet is standing by the window, her expression as gloomy as the overcast night sky. The two of us are the biggest idiots on earth. Okay, the two of us are the biggest idiots on earth for staying here for an entire year. So you were there too. What can I say? Cecile helped me see it. I was a mess. I even had to change into a new set of clothes before coming here. Scarlet frowns and complains, but her words seem strangely emotionless. I'm sure there's a deeper meaning to what she's saying, but that's besides the point. I can pretty much imagine what she's seen and heard, and I can understand her reaction to those things. But what surprises me is that everyone in the room is wearing an expression similar to hers. I know it's hard. Boss, what do you see? Events from the past, or rather, from different pasts. I reluctantly heave myself off the couch, sending a sharp pain through my chest as I do so. I touch my chest in an attempt to find out what's wrong, but all I can feel is cold sweat. How fitting that even the pain is an illusion. You're right, by the way. This is an injury from a year ago. You should take it easy. Justin puts a hand on my shoulder while simultaneously handing me a cigarette. It's hard to tell what the others are really thinking. I scan their faces closely and can't help but think that they are slightly different from how I remember them. A person's eyes reflect their experience and allow us a glimpse into their soul. The color of their soul changes based on what they see and hear. And I can't say that I've ever seen them look like this, tired, worried, confused, yet still clearly intent on not giving up. I take the cigarette from Justin. Still, I expected something healthier. A clear mind. That's what I need right now. I'm fine, but I understand your concern. After a year, it seems like I'm finally back to walking the circuit again. Time to rekindle the flame. Just give me a moment. There are some old scores I would like to settle. Chapter 6, Lazarus Sign. I think now is the right time for me to tell you some things about myself that I kept secret all this time. I walked to the middle of the cramped room and turned my face to face my friends. From the very beginning, I could never recall how I got here. Whether it's the fact that I can't leave this place or the story of how I got to know the owner of this bookstore, those memories elude me. But now, those gaps in my memory has been filled. I don't know how I managed to look into that guy's eyes for an entire year. He must have done something to me. And just who exactly are you talking about when you say that guy? The real owner of this bookstore. I'm merely the manager, and even that job description sounds a bit too important. But that's not the point I'm trying to make. What I'm saying is that he's not one of the good guys. I'm not sure that I have the full picture yet, but the situation can be glossed over with a simple, it's a long story. This will do nothing to lighten the mood, but I have to tell them everything. A long time ago, Scarlett, Neko, and I were working a case. It was a bad experience, and it ended up quite tragically. If my memory serves me correctly, the owner of the bookstore was responsible for the incident. He planned a huge ritualistic ceremony at Torah Memorial High School and committed many heinous crimes, too many to list them all. At the time, I don't know how to explain this. Don't worry, we'll understand.
That's why we came in here in the middle of the night. The lock breaking part was kind of unexpected, though.
Wait, someone explain this to me, please. We actually know what happened at Torah Memorial a year ago. I guess you could say we've been there ourselves several times, in fact. Quite a few things happened there. The theft of the museum, the vandalism in the classrooms, that big hole at the tennis court, the sky changing color. Did I miss anything?
The guy got turned into ground beef. How could you forget about that poor guy?
I see. You know what? I think maybe it's smarter if you tell me your story first. My statement seems to pull Justin at ease a little. He and Neko exchanged glances for a moment, but then both of them turned to look at me. Actually, And then they're gonna explain the story, how they turn into cats, and when they got back to their body, they get shifted into another sets of body into the past. So much happened during your week you were gone. It's not like I expect the situation at the abandoned factory to have been completely resolved when they returned to Hermitage. They spent all their energy on trying to get out of there alive. It's only normal that they didn't pay much attention to the why of it all. Multiple documents prove that the factory isn't an ordinary one, and was once a place of great importance, but has been abandoned for unknown reason for who knows how long. Also, the odd machine in the factory basement turned out to be more than unusual, as everyone's out-of-body experience had vividly proven. As it turns out, the machine even had an owner, albeit one who only showed up after Neko and the others had resolved the situation. What happened there was much more dangerous than I could have ever imagined. I never thought that what was happened there would cause any further event, but the connection is obvious. The facts are plain to see, erasing any needs for doubt and skepticism.
I had no clue that you guys were the stray cats that came to visit me back then.
I've said it before. I should have just carved the message into the floor with my claws. That could have done the trick.
If you had done that, Scarlet would have barbecued you, trust me. Do you even know how expensive wooden floors like that are?
Well, regardless, I got Blue back, all because of you guys. Thanks again.
Where did that come from? You're all aware that cats are loyal to whoever feeds them the most, right?
Ugh, Zach. Sometimes I wonder if you say stuff like that because you think being an idiot is an actual job.
Anyway, we never really got a chance to explain it all to Scarlet. The three of us were sent back in time before we could say anything, and we had no way of establishing contact.
You turned into Neko, Cecile. You turned into Neko, Cecile into Scarlet, and Zach into... well...
Right, Dan.
What the hell was he thinking?
To be honest, I was more interested in what our trenchcoat-wearing foreigner was up to. After I saw the ritual that the Visionary Society tried to pull off, I thought I'd never see anything as dramatic and extreme ever again in my life. But boy, was I wrong. Those lunatics only cost a few people their lives, which was already bad enough, but judging by what happened to you, well, I'm afraid the whole school's in danger.
I guess you're right. What he and the society members tried to do was roughly the same thing, the only difference being that he actually succeeded. You've seen it with your own eyes, so you don't need me to remind you, do you? When something like that descends upon our world, there is no difference between life and death anymore. Everything we know and everything we are is reduced to nothing. Justin,
Speaking of which, what actually happened at the end of last year? I highly doubt that thing would do us the kindness of simply disappearing, right?
Yes, please tell us if you can.
I would love to answer you, I really would. But even now, I have next to no memory of anything that happened back then. There's no need for random guesses. I think we're closer to the answer than you think. What? How so? Check this out. Neko opens a forum post on my computer.
Looks like a pretty standard report at first glance. What's strange about it?
Before tonight, Torah Memorial was still included in these statistics.
No, that can't.
Yes, it can. Don't doubt me. I know I'm right. My memory is just fine.
It's okay, Neko. There's no need to pick a fight right now.
Listen, I've done my research. There's no point in trying to prove me wrong. I'm trying to explain this to you guys right now. It's not my fault if it won't fit through a head as thick as his.
You should really brush up on how social interaction and civilized arguments are supposed to work. There's a fine line between confidence and rudeness.
She's just a kid, that's just how brats are. Anyway, from what I can see, this has nothing to do with Torah Memorial. It isn't mentioned here.
That's just it. Read between the lines.
Wait, are you saying this is the consequence of what happened?
Neko doesn't say a word, choosing to answer Scarlet's question with a silent nod instead. Justin seems lost in thought, and without even knowing what he's doing, he subconsciously put off his phone. Then he takes a big breath.
No. This has to be a mistake. How is this possible? What, Justin? What's wrong? I pull up my map app and no place with that name exists.
What? Let me take a look. Holy shit!
What you said about life and death not even mattering was right. He didn't just want a few measly human lives. So it didn't stop with all the students and visitors falling unconscious. Instead, the whole place just ceased to exist. Even if we do remember it, if it's not physically there anymore, that doesn't mean much. I'm starting to wonder if we really remember it, you know? Can we trust our memories? I'm starting to lose confidence in them.
Hold on, what are you implying? We made it all the way until the end and somehow still managed to fail?
No, I think the opposite is true. Nicker turns away from the screen and gives me a reaffirming nod. Even if we couldn't change everything else, at least he and Scarlet are still with us.
What?
I think Yasmin sent you back so that you could do one specific thing. Bring back these two and myself.
What makes you think that?
Aside from a certain muscle-bound idiot, do you remember what else we ran into every time we failed?
You mean those gooey shape-shifting creatures?
Yes. We've been forced to act collectively because of their ability to split up and turn into multiple people.
There's no other way. Nobody wants to turn around just to see their friend being turned into a messy pulp that goes berserk. It's messed up.
So, in theory, that mask could turn into anything and anyone while we're not paying attention. Still with me?
Yeah, you're right about that.
Alright, so this is where things become problematic. Why are we still alive and kicking when we didn't actually manage to do anything a year ago? Scarlet ... The more you think about it, the more everything contradicts itself. Also, I have no recollection of how I got to this city a year ago. Neither do Scarlet or the manager. In other words, we don't know what happened after the Torah incident. There's a big inconsistent gap in our memories, like we've lost a huge chunk completely. Amnesia is a possibility, but what person with amnesia could have prepared themselves so well? When I came to my senses, I realized that I had started a new life, something I never thought was possible.
Wait a minute.
Are you trying to say that all of this was also pre-planned? Although Cecile was the one in the middle of the action, as soon as she came back, Scarlet also had memories of what happened, right?
Well, let's just say we've been through some very dramatic things. Isn't that right, Cecile?
I'm sorry for having used your identity like that.
It's fine. We're all here together now, so we should be happy, right?
The machine in the factory can exchange the souls, so to speak, of two bodies. A mental exchange. But how it actually works is very hard to grasp. That's why I prefer another explanation. A mental exchange is like a transfer of disk data, where the so-called cut is simply a manual deletion of the copy of the original space after the data has been copied. That process can be interrupted by stepping into the light.
So for example, during the switch of you and me, each of us has both me and you inside them at the same time. It was only when we finally stepped through there that there was an error and the second soul wasn't deleted?
We think we are ourselves. After all, both of our memories are shared. Since my memory is that of Neko, the Justin in my head is a replica left over from the transfer. It's not the first time we've been in a situation like this. During those few days in the factory, several of us start to feel and behave more and more like actual cats. This may very well be the adaptive process associated with a new body. Cecile ...
Then, according to your theory, I think that the Neko part is a foreign memory, and you think that my memory is foreign.
Maybe I'm Justin and you're Neko, but just because of the cognitive relationship between our bodies, we falsely recognize each other. So because of the accident that interrupted the transfer, we somehow managed to reproduce a me, a Scarlet, and an idiot. And we also brought back the store manager.
But he still seemed to have much more recent memories. He didn't know us a year ago.
Yes, he doesn't seem to be someone else's memory. At least that's what he would tell himself.
So I made an exchange with my current self. ...
And because he is himself, we may consider him safe, but things aren't all that easy.
The worst possible scenario is that I stumble upon myself as one of those flesh creatures.
The deliverer. But it's not like there aren't any other options. Want to join us?
What?
As I said, not many people are as intelligent and intuitive as you are. The fact that you've managed to find your way here in less than 2 days is a testament to your good instincts. It takes more than just brute knowledge to create enough events like this in a modern city. Ancient times are fine, but this city's radio environment is so complex that it's very difficult to keep everything quiet.
You might not get your way right now, but I'm sure our rituals will be much more elaborate and go much smoother if we have a helping hand like yours. Now that you have no way out, why not consider a more constructive future?
It's true. The four of us shouldn't still be able to exist. Maybe our existence was the result of an imitation from the very beginning. He needs us to do things for him. For that sole reason, there is an us. Can an imitation be so good that it starts to see itself as the real thing? My conclusion unnerves everyone in the room. I could cut the tension with a knife. Hopefully, the next time I see myself, I get a chance to find out how this year's memories have merged back together.
So, this is the situation Yasmin intended for us to be in from the very beginning?
I guess that depends on whether or not you believe in fatalism. None of us knew what happened on the mountain before all of this trouble started. The store manager and Dan were further away but have no memory of what happened afterwards. If Zach hadn't given you the pills, Scarlett and I wouldn't have followed you up to the mountain. If you haven't kept that creature at bay, none of you would have survived to see Dan open the passageway. If you haven't returned to this place through the passageway Dan opened, even if you had gone back in time, the present we would not have remembered anything about the tragedy at Torah. At least now we can make a change. All because things turned out the way they did.
And Yasmin's life was traded in order for us to have this opportunity. I swear, if that's the case, I would gladly change places with her in an instant.
I'm fully aware of that.
Neko, are you sure that...
Although her expression doesn't change much, I can feel her giving me a piercing stare from behind her bangs. When they were sent back, I remembered that I went to a place I'd never seen before. I guess I swapped places with another object from the scene. There were many cone-shaped pillars of flesh shooting up into the sky, and the sound of whistling, heavy wind, was everywhere. But I also saw another thing. I saw Yasmin's old room, and there were two people that she called mother and father. To think that Yasmin and it have been connected for a long time. Cecile ...
That's why it was after her. So in a sense, Yasmin was being used until the very end. No, I think the fact that we are standing here alive is a testament of Yasmin's own strong will. What do you mean?
Store manager ... Yeah, the scene where Yasmin pushed him into the portal.
Hey! I want to help too!
Never mind, it's nothing.
So yeah, it was redacted because it's like a punchline. They don't want us, when it's white square, they don't want us to know what they're saying because it's pointless, because it's mostly sound at this point. But when it's black square, it's like it's been hidden on purpose, so you'll see it later at Okay. So,
never mind, it's nothing. Why am I always the damn idiot who screws up?
That's not true at all. That'll be unreasonable.
But Listen, no matter what, I want to find that guy, and I want revenge.
No one is going to stop you, but you need to calm down for now. Even if you rush out there right now, you'll simply be squashed like a fly on the wall.
Damn it!
Zack punches the wall next to him so hard that bits of skin are ripped off of his knuckle. His eyes are glowing with a burning rage, but he's trying to control himself. It looks like he has finally learned the art of restraint. I pat him on the shoulder and do my best to pick up the derailed conversation. At least this time, we'll have a better chance instead of going in blind and clueless.
All I heard was that they seem to have gone off to someplace else at the end, am I right?
When would it all be over, my friend? If you count Torah Memorial right now and Manila 2 years ago, Then all that's left is that great mother fishing village thing you mentioned and that Christmas celebration in some other city a year from now. In that case, let's go to there next year. Are you sure everything went according to plan 1,000 years ago? Even if you say the seed has been planted, are you sure the ancient has enough knowledge to successfully create the ritual? It has nothing to do with knowledge. The more important people are, the more blind faith they have. They have enough manpower and they could read and write. More complicated rituals might have been a bit much, but they were surely able to perform simple animal sacrifices to be the pathway for that being in the depths of the universe. Whatever you say, let's go then. First came something that happened 1,000 years ago, then something 3 years ago in Manila, and now Torah 1 year ago. They seem to have triggered rituals in 3 different places. 3 years ago, what was the Manila shipwreck? Was that the Manila shipwreck? You're right, that could very well be it. I have a feeling this Christmas is going to be a busy affair. Come to think of it, I've been helping him track secret cult and other group in this city for months. The people who really knew that was what was going on either ended up in jail or fled the city. That even includes the monster you encountered in the factory. Neko da. Either way, we're the only ones left who can stop him. I don't mean to be a buzzkill, but how exactly can we stop him if we're not even sure what exactly it is that he's planning to do? Don't you remember what you once told me? The city is overflowing with all kinds of trouble these days. Bizarre accidents, all sort of strange cases popping off left and right. Add to that ever-growing tension and stricter policing than ever, and all it does is complicate things even further. The question is, when it comes down to it, would these people have the means to save their city? Wait, are you saying he's deliberately spreading these rumors to cause a panic? I wouldn't really call them rumors. You saw what happened at Toro Memorial with your own eyes. That big hole near the riverside viewing platform in the city looks exactly like the one on the tennis court at Toro Memorial. Whatever it is, it can't be good news. Also, when I was at the Soundroom building, I thought I heard them whispering something weird, as if something remarkable was about to appear or happen. We know how that turned out. Going to such lengths, even if it means alerting the local authorities. It's just a plan to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's a chance for him to get you involved, forcing me to step in and take care of the threat without exposing himself. Even if he fails, he'll have another good story to spread around. I can't believe how ridiculous that sounds.
This topic has been all over the internet lately, and all kinds of rumors have been popping up.
His plan was to spread fear and unrest whenever he needed to. At Toro Memorial, the traces of death and destruction left behind by those monsters served the same purpose. That's why everything went so smoothly for him when that thing actually appeared. And he intends to do it all over again here.
I won't make it easy for him, I can tell you that much.
That's actually an advantage of sorts for us. The more preparation he had to do, the more he was relying on these tricks that we are finally seeing through. After all, he himself said that he only discovered one way to do it in his lifetime. What if I said I simply needed everyone here to die in despair? All over Toro Memorial and all over the city, people will watch these ominous omens begin to descend above their heads like in the Book of Revelation. They may not know what the color means, but that won't matter. They will feel as powerless as you do, losing control over their own body. They will have trouble breathing and won't even have the strength to close their eyes. They will watch as those around them die from dehydration, and there will be absolutely nothing they can do about it. Some people may try to find out what happened, but I'm afraid there aren't too many people as smart as you. And even if they did, what could they do to me? The foolish will only feel fear, and the wise will only become more and more desperate. It has to happen this way, or the rest of the ritual cannot be fulfilled. Sounds like merely torturing us to death won't satisfy you. It's just a part of the offering. If there was another way to do it, I would have been happy to do so. But in the end, I'm still a novice at wielding fear and despair. but just old enough to knock on the door for such a great being. He lifted a corner of his hat, revealing a patch of gray hair. Although judging by his face, he looks to be in his 30s, the lines between his eyebrows can't be concealed any longer. Funny how people build cities and civilization, forgetting how much their ancestors were in awe of the great beings who couldn't cast our planet so much as a second glance. We have fallen to shame through humanity's foolish deeds. But those greater beings, time is child play. All that matters is circumstance and method. By creating a time of fear and awe again, we will finally be in a position to pray to them again, as if these past 20 centuries never existed. First, he needs the right emotions. He's already told us himself that the knowledge he possesses can only be fueled by fear and despair. Secondly, the method he used to create those emotions must have a direct connection to those rumors. I don't believe he went to all the trouble just to play us for fools. Also, we have already seen his rituals. He is indeed much more skilled and versed in this unknown art much more skilled and versed in these unknown art than any of us. He has both the motivation and the means to do it. This event must be even bigger in size than the last one, though I can't even begin to fathom how he intends to do something more excessive than removing a city from existence. To disappear would mean the end. It is as simple as that. Anyway, I think he's trying to use rumor to spread fear again, this time in an even more extreme manner than at Torio Memorial. Tell me, detective, what kind of scenario would meet all of those conditions? Christmas Eve is drawing near and preparation already underway. Among one of the most anticipated events this year is, of course, the city's very own traditional annual Christmas parade. This year's parade in particular has attracted worldwide attention due to the participation of very important political summit members. It is shaping up to be the biggest and most record-shattering Christmas parade yet. The department in charge have said they will do their very best to ensure it will be a peaceful parade that anyone can enjoy. Much effort is being put into keeping the streets safe. It's a citywide event. One that would be perfect to remind people of all the rumors that have been floating around. The perfect opportunity to spread panic. First come a prophecy, then witnesses to it, then belief. That's the order of things. What he wants is an actual apocalypse. If that's his plan, we may still have a chance. I glance at a book on my desk and suddenly feel a weird sense of compassion for the man who has done so much evil. There is no room for error now. Fear and despair, huh? Let's show him how desperate we are. Sunday, December 3rd. Eloise. So, why did you ask me to come out here? Cecile. Sorry, sister. I know you've been really busy lately, but I just can't do this on my own. Never mind that. I'm more interested in knowing why you called me up out of the blue. What's going on? Well, you know. Question mark. I'm sorry, but the store manager asked me to keep it a secret. All I can say is that it's really important. I see. Really important. Sister, please believe me. That's enough. Cecile, I just have one condition. Whenever you ask me for help, don't apologize first. Huh? It's just something you should do, understand? Okay. So tell me, what does that cold-hearted guy wants us to do? Young radio host A. A place where two paths meet, with threes on either side? Damn, why don't these stores have any house numbers? First floor, glass windows, often closed, but with a sign. Alright, looks like you're playing hermit. What the hell's going on here? Anyone here? Can I come in? There's no need to knock. The store manager is out on business, so we're closed. Really? It seems to be really unlucky today. So, this is what you look like in person. No, I mean, I don't think so. You're Justin's friends, right? I guess so. What's her name? Neko. We can skip the pleasantries. You can take a look around upstairs. Alright, she's interesting. Thursday, December 7th. That's your plan? That's right. Since the boss doesn't want anyone to interfere, so we have to hit each of them pretty hard. So how will this go? You're simply planning to demolish the house, right? I can't believe there were actual pictures. If you want to set this up yourself, at least do it properly, okay?
Sorry, my grades were never that good. That's the best I could do.
At least you're not ashamed to ask for help. What are these big piles for?
You know, we want to pull a big hole in the columns.
Stop. Do you consider yourself immortal? Where did you get this thing?
I just copied it from somewhere. If it works, right? I think it's pretty simple. Didn't you do that dangerous smoke bomb thing?
One thing leads to another. The principle of the atomic bomb is also quite simple. Why don't you get me some yellow cake and make one for you? And I'll make one for you.
Yellow cake? What is that? Is it edible?
I really can't communicate with you.
Please, Neko, you can be completely in command. Please help me.
Who would even want to be your commander? You already have no intentions of giving up, do you?
Sorry, I just can't help it.
Forget it. Being angry at you isn't worth it.
Well, it's my fault. If I were better at fighting, I wouldn't have to bother you at all. I'm not sure how much of a pain in the ass this is going to be.
I would say it's become quite of a problem for everyone. I'll leave it at that. Are you sure the guys will be happy to help?
What else is there to do but grovel and beg? When the time comes, that what has to be done.
No, I mean, they are...
There's no difference between you, me, or them. Everyone is the same. I have a point, even if you have no reason to believe it.
If you're going to say men who have fought together are friends, or something like that, save your breath. Then why are you doing this? Well, what are your chances of winning without this?
Slim at most.
Thought so. Let's go.
Go? Where?
To get you some material, of course, you big idiot.
I'm not going to be...
I'm going to be busy for the rest of the month, so prepare yourself.
Don't worry, I'm prepared. This is the last battle. We have to give it our all, right?
Friday, December 15. Here you go. Store manager, this is... The stuff found in that abandoned factory was unexpectedly usable. Toggle this knob to adjust the intensity and then press here to... Hey, that's dangerous. Well, this is the lowest intensity. No wonder the monkey took out everyone single-handedly. It's too extravagant to be used as a simple taser. If it had used it, we wouldn't have survived at all. True. But in this case, did the owner of this gun release the monkey? It's been abandoned for a long time. It doesn't make sense to think about it chronologically unless it's been there all along. But that wouldn't explain why the people who took over the factory left it lying around. Besides, it saved the manager a year ago, right? If it didn't end up getting out there, how did it get into the factory? What happened back then? This is causing me a headache. Nothing adds up. We'll work on it later. We don't have time to get into this right now. Well, at least, Yasmin and that thing probably won't hurt us. I'll have Zach to thank for that. By the way, what have those guys been up to lately? There are still many things waiting to be done for that project. Cecile is always disappearing, and I don't think Eloise will be able to make it. Why don't you ask them for me? That could backfire. But I guess the others are pretty busy. Scarlett, in the streets?
What's going on?
Justin,
Nothing. I'm just a little nervous.
It happens. Come on. Take a deep breath with me. Exhale. Inhale. Excel, stop it! I'm teaching you a valuable life lesson here. One can only do one thing well at one time, so if you're too busy worrying about other nonsense, what will happen to your main task?
That's true, but I don't think people ask cabbages like you do.
Oh, well, you don't usually have access to this place. Don't worry, the so-called officials are just mortals with high hats. Since they have ears and mouths, we have a way out.
Sounds like a criminal manifesto.
From another perspective, this could be called a flexible approach.
I'm perfectly aware of your philosophy when it comes to life, so there's no need to remind me.
That's right. Besides, you know why we're here, don't you?
So many audits in 1 month.
That guy's requests are always pretty challenging. You and I wouldn't be able to do something that difficult on our own. That's why we're standing here together. So stop feeling sorry for yourself, detective.
Are you sure you want to continue calling me a detective?
You're really getting into this, aren't you? So what's next for our company representative, Mr. Justin?
Aha, what's next? It's time for the audience to see how exciting our game will be. Sunday, December 24th. This is the abandoned building. No matter how strange the journey, time doesn't stand still for Zach. The young, temperamental teen leans against the pillar. He presses his forehead against the cold metal to keep himself up on his feet. He needs to be ready for what comes next.
Still not here yet?
This decoy should do the trick. In Zach's opinion, the store manager's plan is crude and simplistic, but it looks like he might just work. No matter what, he knows someone will try and stop him. During the final moments of last year, he experienced what spiritual transformation really means. If Dan saw the same images, it's clear how he will act. Which expressions should I wear? How should I act when I face him? Zach keeps asking himself. Obviously, anger towards Dan drives him, but there are other underlying feelings as well. This isn't just about winning or losing. On a deeper emotional level, Zach feels like Dan owes him some answer. Dan has never mentioned a reason for his vile action. Zach is scared that if he doesn't find out, he'll end up missing something important and grow up to be no better than Dan. He doesn't want that to happen. Zach, exclamation mark. His target finally arrives. Dan looks even taller than last time. The giant man's imposing silhouette looks almost beast-like in the dark moonlight that illuminates the factory. As always, Dan has shown up unarmed, but Zach remains on high alert and won't let himself get disgraced for even a second. No more slacking off. Though his throat is completely dry, Zach swallows out of sheer nervousness and clenches his sweaty fists. He doesn't want to show any fear, especially not now.
It's amazing how much effort you put into repairing that piece of junk. What a vivid imagination. You're really full of yourself, huh? Are you proud of yourself for not even giving us a chance to fight? Sounds like you haven't given this much thought. You want to wait until the whole world is on fire before cozying up a little in the time machine? What other option is there? Do you want us to point shotguns at your head again? Take a look at yourself. Just how naive are you? You're too far gone.
Now, Dan is nothing more than a monster that just so happens to have a humanoid shape. His face is barely visible, and Zach only recognizes him because of the repulsive scent that accompanies him wherever he goes. What's this? Sorry, I'm checking something on the net. This is weird.
I'm gonna check the trophies. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Ah, okay. Okay. So yeah. All full endings have an ending and a bad ending. And when I finished chapter 5, it was both a bad and the official ending. So this is where okay, so there's no like chapter 5 is supposed to finish the way it has been. So they gave us a trophy for the bad ending because there are no good endings. So when we finish the bad ending, they gave us the trophies for completing chapter 5 and for the bad ending. But there were one for each chapter, but I didn't get them. But apparently, you get a special trophy when you unlock all the bad ending for everything. It doesn't matter. Dan is nothing more than a monster, human form. Okay, wherever he goes. Come on, why so rude? I would say I'm looking mighty fine and in a good shape today, wouldn't you agree? Zack,
Unlike those two lucky brats, I have to work 1,000 times harder to get this thing to work. It's easy once you get used to it. Maybe you should give it a try? You know, at first I thought you may just be a victim too. Turns out I couldn't have been more wrong.
I'm gonna take a sip.
Nothing about you is human anymore. Neither your body nor your brain.
Zack's comment makes Dan break out in thunderous, condescending laughter.
So what? Before I turned into this, I was trying to do the right thing. Trying to fix things. Just like you are right now. What do you do with an alien machine that you don't understand, except pray to it like a primitive caveman?
Dan, being the one to initiate a conversation, is unexpected. Zack tries its best to hide its nervousness.
Oh yeah? The photos Neko posted online sure seem to be useful. Considering the fact there is supposedly nothing we can do, you sure spend a lot of your free time making special trips just for us.
Then,
You're full of yourself, but you should really learn to think before you speak. How could you not know what I've been through? Even if I started to forget now, I still remember a lot of the things you've done.
Saying this reminds Zack of Yasmin, and he regrets having said anything. He swallows the bitter taste in his mouth and continues.
I think it's safe to say the intricacies of that thing in the basement are no secret to either of us. Oh, what great heroic lines, you little punk! How long have you been rehearsing that script? You know, keep seeing your face every time I go to sleep. It's what I've been enjoying me all this time.
In a true soldier's hand, a blade and a gun are equally dangerous. Zack grabs the object in his pocket and steps out of the shadow to face Dan.
I don't want to be a coward anymore. Oh, but you are. And you always will be. You'll change your mind soon enough. No matter how many times I fail, I will come back here and tell you the same thing over and over again.
The machine downstairs seems to be malfunctioning, and the beeps echoing through the room are growing increasingly louder. This gives Zack the last bit of courage he needs to irritate his opponent.
Care to guess how many times this has happened before?
Dan ... Dan arcs his body slightly, as if he wasn't actually playing serious until now. This one little movement completely changed the atmosphere. There's no turning back now. Zack's neck stiffens. He's determined to keep Dan in a direct line of sight.
I hope you understand what you're doing. Yeah, I do. So well, in fact, that I can't help but feel like a fool for not having done this earlier. No regrets then, huh? I don't want to hear a complain. You won't. The stoic type, I like that. Well, you. Just die!
And just like that, Zack swings his fist one last time. I guess this is my exercise for the year. Once again, I wipe the sweat off my forehead and lean against the railing to catch my breath. This is Mato Metropolitan Tower, the tallest building in the entire city. Something somebody once said to me made me decide to climb this tower. There is no elevator to the top, making a journey that my knees may never forgive me for in this lifetime. The security corridor is completely empty. I saw the occasional cigarette butt or two lying in the corner on the lower floors, but I'm so high up now that everything looks as if no one else has ever been here before. We've all seen buildings like this get hijacked in movies countless of times. Though corporate espionage is hard to prevent, companies never skimp on money for security. Buildings like this have security companies keeping a watchful eye on them day and night. However, it's Christmas, and even those with the most thankless jobs need some time to breathe and be with their families. That's why today's security measures are nowhere near as tight as they usually are. Or maybe there's another reason security is so lax. The security door to the rooftop is unlocked. I push it open and stare up into a ray of moonlight. Yeah, the silver ring is out. With its shadow, I am greeted only by the wind and a lone figure standing here in silence. You're late, manager. Don't say that. It's not like we have an appointment. But we did, in a way. Would you not say so? You and I have a lot of business together. Now the time has come for some closure for the both of us. It took me a while to shake that feeling of disgust I felt after I found out you've been using me as your pawn all along. Once I did that, the job became easier. That is nice. Should be easy. I did not pay you any salary after all. I can't see anything suspicious yet. I approach him with the utmost caution, ready for anything. I was a wanted man all around the world for a whole year. All because of you and your ridiculous plan. You don't possibly expect me to be thankful for that, do you?
But you met some marvelous people and made friends as a result, did you not?
If it meant sheltering them for all this madness, I would gladly choose not to know any of them. You're asking such a question and actually meaning it only shows what your brain is twisted. You've gone off the rails.
You can say whatever you want. I won't stop you. Just know that at this point, nothing you say or do is of any consequence. It is futile to waste your time thinking about what-if scenarios.
You sound pretty convinced that you've won already.
Indeed I do, because I know that you cannot stop me.
So now you pretend I'm just a fool who lacks common sense, is that it? What a sudden change in tone.
Yet, it is true. As being bound by time and shackled to its whims, our brains are too young, too naive to be considered special in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of who I am.
Then I dare you to use that proud little brain of yours. It has soon become apparent, even to you, that victory has long been decided.
He doesn't pay attention to my movement at all. He just stands still, sniping his finger. The indescribable color emerged in front of him once again and begins to expand. It looks more larger than ever before, a restless swirl of rhythmic colors all over its surface. Despite the cold gust of wind blowing across the rooftop, a burning sensation clings to my eyes and my skin, and I can't shake it off. Our worst fears are starting to become reality. I'm scared to even think about how many lives are being taken all over the city right now. I should have known something was seriously wrong from the moment that hole opened up at the riverside viewing platform.
Oh please, I would not have allowed you to settle the Hermitage if I had not been 100% sure you were the right one.
What a way of putting it. You really had it all planned out, right down to your whole act. But what about your old friends you kept talking about? That was just more bullshit you fed me, wasn't it?
Not at all. They actually exist. Or rather, existed. Quite an interesting bunch, I have to say. Thanks to them, I was able to search the planet for the right signs. My immaculate vision would not have come true so easy if I had not been for their help. They were on the right path, but their knowledge was lacking. The devil is in the details, as you know. They were but a few baby steps away from success, yet when I tried to help point them in the right direction, I ran into some difficulties. Everyone went crazy before the ritual was finished, which had to do with a lack of fuel, obviously. ...
And what is your plan this time? Do you want to let this colorful cloud of yours drain the old city dry like you did a year ago?
The closer it is to being complete and fully nurtured, the less it thirsts for lives. However, its mature form possesses another really important characteristic. And you have your very dedicated friends to thank for that.
Now the blob, it's no longer a sphere, it's like a blot of more uneven shapes and size, goes up into the sky. A grand darkness is blooming in the sky, covering almost the entire building. The sudden outburst lasts for only a short moment, and it is much less aggressive than in the past. After a few quick flashes of lightning, the sky goes silent again. My eyes aren't that easily deceived. This darkness doesn't belong to the night. It is an illusion whose only purpose is to hide something evil. Though the light of the moon and stars is glowing faintly through this dark veil, it is still nothing more than a poor imitation of the real thing.
Did you know that it that appears in all historical records over the ages is the same being? It is spatio-temporally discontinuous, something that was born infinite times and has died just as many deaths. But it always maintains the same characteristics, which is why it has been studied by civilization after civilization through the ages. Standing on the shoulders of my unfortunate predecessor, I had an idea. Since it isn't limited by space and time, could it be possible that every possible moment at whatever location is connected to this being? Think of it as a makeshift string telephone. If someone talks into one side of the cup, the other side to which the string is attached makes a sound. In a way, the talking is happening in two different spatial locations at the same time. What if this same theory of talking can be applied to rituals? If physics existed long enough, it would be everywhere at once in the universe. In that case, we would not be dealing with two different spatial locations at the same time. We would be dealing with all spatial locations at all times. Store manager ... With the tools I have at my disposal, I can use people's fear and their despair to light a beacon on the planet, to light the way for the great being I want to attract. But this beacon needs to be so unbelievably bright, it's simply not possible to make it all come together at the same point in time. That is my purpose. I had to find a way. I need this beacon to be however big it needs to be. The destruction of Torah was just a tiny speck of light, a small spark in the grand scheme of things. Its shadow is still far away, lingering in the sky, and the light of a small city can only draw it so far. This pitiful world is so fragile that time and space would disintegrate and planets would collapse before the beacon reaches the necessary brightness. So, I decided to do it step by step. By using the fracture in space and time to initiate rituals at different points in time to attract this great being, and simultaneously allowing them to happen here, I can gather fuel in a relatively safe and stable environment. It is here that the real, actual beacon is being lit. It has not arrived yet, and it's still lying in wait on the other side of the gate. People will see this gate being torn down. They will bear witness as everyone around them deteriorates and crumbles, thus providing me with a constant stream of fear. All of this sounds unbelievably complicated, does it not? You cannot imagine the time and effort I put into setting this up. The imagery this twisted plan conjures up in my mind sends shivers down my spine. Why? Why persist for so long? Because of the deal that was made, the promise that was given. I spent most of my life studying the ancient and their successful exchange of words with beings far greater than us, until I finally realized that their appetite is more insatiable than anyone who came before me even realized. What was promised? The life of the person I love the most. Store manager ... I am not some great scholar, nor am I some mystical esoteric religion. I had a job as a teacher in Lucerne. Had friends, family. If things had turned out different, I would have had grandchildren by now. You know as well as I do that nobody respects a lunatic who squats in alleys and chants, completely confused. I wanted to stay away from all of those weird stories, the occult and the esoteric. I wasn't going to let desperation drive me there. But in the end, I succumbed to it. If this is what it takes to bring her back from the dead, so be it! Nothing else matters! So that's when you started praying to them? Believe me, I tried. Prayers don't work. ... They aren't gods. They are just another collective group of beings that exist far outside the realm of our awareness. To us, they appear mysterious and all-powerful, but that is not how they see themselves. They do not want to rule. They have no concept of domination. What we think of them and our perception of them is absolutely worthless.
A single-minded search would never lead anywhere. Some of them have their own rules and judgment. A codex so strange it makes no sense to us. It is not us. It is not up to us to understand it, but to accept it.
Is that why a pact has to be made?
Reason and knowledge help me see the way. That is the only thing I have modern civilization to thank for.
You did what you did without hesitation, while lacking important information. I dare any reason and rationality aren't your stronger suits.
They are likely incredibly complex function, and I look for answer to them in all sorts of ways. I have to rely on experience from the result to slowly make sense of it all, like a primitive barbarian. That is what they offer.
And you're willing to sacrifice everything for it.
Like I said, our thoughts and values are worthless, but who knows what they are thinking?
I'm starting to understand a little, I think. But there must be a more important reason, right?
Despite the fact that he keeps mentioning reason and speaks clearer than he has ever done before, every word that come out of his man's mouth reeks with the stench of madness. A madness no amount of fancy words could hide. An axe murderer in a neat suit and tie is still an axe murderer at the end of the day. I haven't uttered a single lie. Not about my origin, not about my love. I have never stopped loving my sweet Leonie. She was the gentlest soul of all, and if you had known her, you would understand my devotion. It's just that, having seen things for what they are and their actual scope, this place is no longer big enough for me.
Is that what you want to do? To run away from the world you're from? Leave it all behind?
No. I just want to transform it into a more eye-opening place. ... The rules will be chaotic. All order will be reversed. An environment much better suited to host what we cannot grasp. A price well worth paying.
Even that price includes everything we know?
I don't think I need to repeat myself. ...
You've shown your true colors. I can tell you were being honest just now. Now I can be absolutely sure you're nothing more than a sadistic idiot.
Moral judgment now? So what if I am? It changes nothing.
Of course it does. Just like this. I pull up the cube I've been carrying around all this time and press the button on it as I point at the deliverer. The white light is as dazzling as ever, and it pierces the air with a roar that sounds like an electric whip cracking against the ground. It bundles energies, is thrown towards its target.
Ah!
He is hit full force and his body turns stiff, sparks flying across it. In less than half a second, he has turned blacker than carbon. His limp body falls to the ground. He reeks of burned organic matter, a vile stench I instinctively frown at. It actually worked. It is a little early to be making that kind of declaration. What? He steps out of a dark corner and stands beside his tattered body, giving it a light kick with its foot. The target I hit is bubbling all over, its form crumbling into a flowing mass. This is not how a human body will react to a hit like that. So, if I understand correctly what happened, the deliverer got hit with the blast that carbonized them, but it was actually one of the metal, the black flesh was a shapeshift into him, and now he comes out of to reveal himself.
That was a great shot. It's probably going to stay down for a while.
You've been using it as a stand-in?
You were in a similar situation yourself just a month ago. It seems a little inappropriate for you to be surprised by something like this, don't you think?
Store manager ...
I admit, I am a little disappointed if this is truly all you have prepared. Do you have any further tricks up your sleeve now that it has all come to this?
Or did you never ever think you would come this far?
Huh. How about you take a guess? Deliver da.
Get him!
Black shadows sweeps over me and wrap themselves around my body. Let go of me! My struggle is futile and the black fleshy mass isn't budging so much as an inch. Its iron grip around me is growing even tighter. The disparity in power between man and monster is so great that once you lose the upper hand for even a second, the outcome is basically decided.
My apologies, but things are about to begin.
He snaps his finger at the sky as he speaks. Ripples go through the darkness around us before it starts to change. No incantations, no prayers, no eccentricities of any kind. His style is unlike any other practicing scholar I ever met. Concise, dry, and utterly emotionless. His sole focus lies in reaching his ultimate goal. He does not expect me to understand, but he himself has no doubt. His resolve never falters.
That's the scariest thing about him. The lanky foreigner opens and closes his mouth, as if he were speaking to something that isn't there. The aggressive wave in the air reverse their direction and disappear without a trace. My head, however, is fiercely pulsating, like it's trying to warn me of a danger of unfathomable proportion that is rapidly approaching.
Please, just stay right where you are. I made sure to save you a fantastic seat. He turns his head and leisurely gives me a slight tip of his hat. After all, staying where you are and not doing anything is the smartest choice you could make at this point. Back at the abandoned building, the Zack versus Dan. Another sharp pieces of metal fly past Zack's scalp. It is a steel pipe that is now buried in the pillar next to him. A regular old steel pipe wouldn't be that scary in itself, but the fact that it's pierced a solid concrete pillar easily is enough to make him gulp. Zack doesn't linger in the same spot for long, and the next wave of attack quickly follows. He rolls across the ground to evade them. This time a whole pillar comes down. It crashes to the ground with the force of a cannonball, spinning and bouncing several times until it disappears out of Zack's sight. Dan clearly hasn't been aiming properly, or rather, he's been teasing Zack all this time. He's been hanging around the same spot, throwing every object he can find in Zack's direction. This is obviously far beyond the power of a normal human being. Zack feels like he is playing hide and seek with a living tank. Although he is more familiar with the terrain and quicker on his feet, he can't shake the feeling of helplessness that dominates his subconscious.
What's going on, huh? Show me how fast you are! Shit! Spare me your small talk! Less talk, more action!
A cable reels towards Zack with the velocity of a rocket launcher. He dodges it, but his heavy side wheel hits his left shoulder.
You've been running around like a nimble little monkey. Do you feel so at home at this place already? If only you knew. A factory is no place for children to play in. Watch out for collapsing ceilings.
The ceiling does not fully collapse, but the heavy concrete pillars are broken free from the cables. It all comes crashing down, ready to crush anything beneath it. It is a trap, one that's supposed to bring this encounter with Dan to a swift and violent end. Dan notices, but that doesn't stop him. Just in his ear, crap! Zack can hear his companion cursing. The detective who has been hiding in the shadow is the one who triggered the trap. In addition to helping the store manager with the production of the item, Cecile, Zack, and Justin spend over 2 weeks gathering materials and setting everything up inside the factory so they could have enough tricks up their sleeve for this particular encounter. Limited in the number of its use and not exactly accurate, it's still the only way to fight an opponent as rash and fearless as this.
Oh, sorry, it doesn't seem like it's high enough.
Justin is standing into the shadow on one side of the broken pile of debris and quietly apologizes to Zach.
Don't worry, we got other options.
You're pretty good with traps. I'm impressed. Where did you learn all this?
From a TV show, can you believe that?
Let me guess, Home Alone?
You're a good learner then. If you like it so much, I'm sure this will impress you as well.
In sync with Zach's word, Justin pulled down a second rope. This time, a spear made of numerous sharpened steel pipes ran down from the opposite direction. While coming up with this plot, Zach didn't forget about Dan's physical abilities. Zach knows not to bet all your chips on the same thing, which is why he and his companions have laid out a series of traps all along the route. This whole setup would be enough to hunt down an elephant. In fact, the improvised crossbow frame for firing the steel pipes even uses thick spring plates recovered from old trucks. The projectile's poundage is hard to measure, but it damn sure is heavy. Strangely enough, it seems as if Dan has no intention of moving out of the way at all.
How cute. What is that?
The massive bolt does indeed pierce through Dan, but he doesn't move. The wound caused by the massive kinetic energy neither bleeds nor it is torn open. Instead, the projectile smoothly pierces through him as if it met with no resistance at all. Dan chuckles as he reaches out and bends the exposed part to break it off. Zach can't even begin to imagine where the rest of the projectile that Dan swallowed has gone.
Useless.
Zach ... Despite all of the obstacles separating himself from his opponent, Zach is sweating profusely. Dan, however, ignores Zach and looks up at the ceiling with a piercing gaze.
All that heat. Looks like there's something going up out there too, isn't that right? What did you say?
You heard me. I know exactly what you lead me right to this very spot.
Crap, you knew all along?
You're obviously stalling for time. There are enough distractions for me not to notice that.
Ha 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 ha! But you know that, boy. Feel free to stall as long as you want. I'm enjoying myself. I rarely get a chance to enjoy myself this much, so of course I want this to last a little longer. Arrogant and overconfident as always, huh? There's still plenty of fun to go around, don't worry about that. Everyone has their limits, kiddo. I'm not saying I'm the exception to that rule. What I'm saying is that what you consider to be the limit is where the fun starts for me. Or are these cowards on the sidelines you big genius plan?
Zach ... Intimidated by Dan's mocking statement, Zach doesn't respond. The others are lying in wait, holding their breath for their chance to strike. Now we see Zach, we see Fatty, and the other Innsmouther. I think it's the surviving patients from Chapter 3. Zach knows how worthless their attempt would be without the element of surprise. Responding would mean admitting it, but staying stubborn wouldn't change a thing.
What would that mean? Look in your eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought for a second you had a grand plan to prey on the predator. But I underestimated just how simple you are. Even if they were once your companions, you don't actually think these abominable monsters will be your friends in the long run, do you? Come on, be realistic. Some changes cannot be reverted. You want to talk? That's the exact reason you don't have any friends, right? Enough of this. Let's see who's spraying on who now, shall we?
In sync with Zach's threat, the ambusher rise up to reveal their weapons. They aren't in a good position to attack. Zach knows that they will try to swarm Dan, taking advantage of their height and unusually large bodies to overwhelm him. Momentum and speed are often a key in the fight, much more so than thorough strategy. These street gangs delinquents may have forgotten many things, but their way of survival is engraved in their bones. Even transformed, they are still as resistant as ever. Despite the fact that they are very different from their past self, they are still driven by the courageous heat blazing in their hearts. The young companion. Yeah. Perhaps to boost morale or to intimidate their enemy, they keep roaring with their deep rumbling voices. The sound no longer bears any resemblance to a human voice, and Zack plants his feet firmly on the ground, resisting to the instinctive fear welling up inside him. What now, big guy? How about it? Dan, Dan's reaction is not all that what Zack imagined. Even in the face of impending danger, Dan has always laughed it off so far. This time, he isn't smiling, and his expression is cold and serious. His ominous silence freezes the air, and after what feels like an eternity, he speaks again.
Listen up, kid. I'll explain something to you about what it means to be human. Humans have brains. They can use tools. They can form families. They can get together and form groups. They have to eat, drink, dress, and sleep. Such is the burden of being a human. But those guys, they are different. They no longer have a place in society. Nothing is waiting for them out there in this cold world, and as long as they're wearing that skin, they will never be able to live as normal human beings. They will be hunted down, despised by all. There is only one way out of this, and that is to give up this old identity and build a new home. If anyone tries to get in the way of that, they will be killed. That is the way of life of anything alien in this world. Things may have been different in the past, but now that we unquestionably rule the world, there is no room to make peace. There is no middle ground. It's survival of the fittest. Funny, you don't strike me as someone who would choose the underdog side. I am not, but she is. That little girl is much more advanced than any of you. Yasmin? Can she still have a normal life after being influenced by that thing? Have you ever asked yourself that? You probably don't even really care about her, do you? You only think about yourselves. You are like that. I am like that. Everyone is. There is no real difference between us. That's why this world is so cruel. Tell me what a place like this is worth if it doesn't even take mercy on a child. No.
Zack's heart suddenly starts pounding in his chest. It's not because of Dan's words. It's because something has started happening outside the window without him noticing. A strange presence is peeking inside. The realization suddenly hits Zack, although he can't perceive what exactly it is. He doesn't know what it is. All he knows that it exists. Cold sweat is dripping from his body. Someone ignorant of it all may not have felt a thing, but Zack heard the store manager talk about the plan. Because of that, he can only think about one thing that must be happening out there, and it's terrifying.
Look, seems like you've already failed. What exactly are you two planning to do? Don't bunch me together with that rambling loon. I don't care what he thinks, I just need his results. Once everything turns to chaos and the laws of time cease to exist, things will happen all of their own. By then, Yasmin will have to worry about the secret she's been carrying with her any longer. And you're willing to destroy everything just for that? Enough is enough. I won't let you take that away too.
The giant man breaks the steel pipe off the wall and throws it like a javelin. It grazes Zack's scalp and flies out of sight. Zack's companion seems startled by the attack, and fear begins to bubble up inside of him.
If you want to side with them, go ahead. Try and be friends with them, but this naivete will get you killed. If not today, then tomorrow. There will be retribution.
His back is to the wall. Zack grits his teeth and tries to keep a clear head, pushing back dark thoughts aside.
Don't talk as if you've been holding back all this time. You'll get what's coming to you soon enough, don't you worry. Let's go then!
Fatty. They won't be able to turn the situation if they keep letting Dan rant on like this. After weighing his options, Zach decides there's only one way to go, and his companion seems to be thinking the same thing. Zach's half-human, half-fish companion leap high into the air and throw themselves at the laughing man. The difference in strength would usually make it this a suicide mission, but they seem to be betting on their strength in numbers. The smallest of openings would be enough to start targeting Dan's vital spots. The former delinquents, formerly all bronze over brain, have developed an understanding of tactics and how that working together is key. This means everyone, without exception, is on the move. Zach picks up a crowbar from the ground and rushes towards Dan.
You punks don't really think you can beat me like this, do you?
For the first time, Dan's expression changes as he faces the assault. He looks up with narrowed eyes, most likely to count the number of incoming attackers. There is no doubt that he completely miscalculated Zach's intentions. It's finally time to pay for every single despicable deed he has done. Zach clutches his weapon tightly at his feet, hits the ground, running.
Now, Cecile!
Huh? What's that sound? Without warning, the floor in front of Zach turned into a magnificent bright display of fireworks. Now we see a picture of Cecile outside the building. Cecile looks down at the button she just pressed with a baffled expression. Beads of sweat are dripping from her forehead. Zach never said how big the explosion was going to be. Was that maybe a little too much? Do you know what I always despised? People who choose not to face the unknown, using meaningless terms such as awe and respect as an excuse. Those people are fools, giving in to their ignorance. I know that whatever power is out there, no matter how grand, I can take advantage of it simply by upholding my rational thinking. It does not matter how small and weak I am. I will never have to bow down to worship anything or anyone. At least, that used to be the way of thinking until I experienced all of this. It was in that moment that I realized that worshipping greatness has nothing to do with pride, or right or wrong. Ultimately, worship is actually the nature of all wisdom.
You're trying to justify all of this somehow?
No, that is of no importance to me. He's standing at the edge of the rooftop, staring into the distance as if to reminisce about past events. When I first observed it and beheld its splendor, I was a little luckier than the others, seeing I did not fall unconscious. It was deep in the dense jungle of a remote, uninhabited mountain range, at a lake where we perform a small-scale ritual to experiment with the methods we found in ancient scriptures. In fact, it did not appear in a physical sense at all. We merely glimpsed it swimming between dimensions through the reflection created by the rituals on the water's surface. Projecting a small hint of its existence was enough to evaporate most of the lake. It was nowhere near as clear back then as it is right now. It took me so long to perfect this, so long to interpret things in the right way so as not to repeat the foolish mistakes of those that came before me. I have paved the way for it successfully. This shape, I like to refer to it as the answer itself. You may not believe this, but it is utterly perfect, infallible, immaculate. You cannot even begin to imagine. In the midst of its storm of ecstasy, I can feel the cosmos all around me paying attention to this very event. There are so many beings throughout the universe.
Sorry,
I'm not here to start a fight here, but I have no reason to
Share what you just said right now. Anyway, it was blocked. There are so many things throughout the universe, like me sacrifice everything to finally see, to catch a glimpse of it. I am not alone. Just like me, there are seekers of purpose, and many of them have abandoned their superficial pretension long before me, offering up all they have and all they are in search of it. I sought dialogue with them, and some of them responded. Our thoughts converged in that reflection, communicating with each other. It was then that I utterly realized how narrow-minded and outdated my way of thinking was in the past. I analyzed the work of others to find out where they have failed, digging deeper into the secrets than they have ever dared. Even if their rituals never fully succeeded in one place, the sum of them can transcend the limits of the world's capacity and make it a reality. Every ritual is meaningful in that sense. This will be an encounter never witnessed before, never to be witnessed again. I'm afraid my mortal body of flesh and blood would never suffice for even the smallest step of this plan. I have a limited lifespan and my knowledge is nothing in the grand scheme of things. All I can carry with me is an idea. This explains his appearance. The bizarre ripples pulsating on and around his body are proof of that he has left humanity behind. I tried to extend my right hand, but the black mask wrapped around the sense instantly. It tightens its grip and wrenches my fingers away, forcibly knocking the cube out of my hand. He doesn't even particularly concern about this sudden outburst and patiently waits for its sinister assistant to finish its work before resuming its speech, as if nothing happened. In order to accomplish my ultimate goal, I borrow this very effective helpers. As far as help is concerned, there is not rooted in Samaritan generosity. Once more, it is an investment if I fail to prove my worth and I am unable to produce wanted results. I lose all value to them. In that case, these two servants will be the first to abandon me. I can no longer discern between myself and this abomination of black flesh. Who is who? I'm afraid the deeper I go, the closer certain doom encroaches. I am a liar, a filthy liar. My rituals are nowhere near as elaborate as those conducted in the past. Is all of this a deception in the eyes of it? The more I think about that and the closer I step towards the inevitable, the bigger my fear of it grows. But after tonight, this nightmare too shall end. He points at the sky above him with a look of melancholic nostalgia in his eyes. It is the look of someone who is reuniting with their closest friend one last time on their deathbed, filled with deep affection. When I caught a glimpse of the black seas of infinity, I finally understood one thing. I am... ... No, never mind. That has nothing to do with you. He stops talking altogether, but I have bigger things to worry about right now. I don't know exactly how long it has been since his last ritual, although the most recent one was Torah. That was recent only for me. I am not sure of the chronological order in which he acted. Though his first ritual was long ago, just a short instance of time travel is already very disorienting, and I can't imagine how someone who is used to it perceived the concept of sequences. Repeated incomplete rituals at different points in time, brought together by a presence across time and space. That's the plan he just told me about. But time isn't everything. Every single ritual requires energy, a source of fuel, so to speak, in order to work. He only knows how to fuse a fear to brighten the beacon, and always leaves an entry point to the empty space in front of him, to connect space and time right before the ritual fails due to the lack of energy.
Teaching the villagers back then, as well as the shipwreck in Manila, must have required all sorts of arduous, painstaking preparation. Even his ritual at Torah, which came to a tragic and violent end, was delayed by 3 whole years, all because of the interference of a bunch of kids. These rituals must be incredibly hard to pull off. Him standing here right now is proof that all he has done and of everywhere he's been. Of every time he's been to, too. He lets out a calm sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden has been lifted off his shoulder. 3 minutes to midnight. Just a few decades ago, it would have been so much harder to attract enough attention at this hour. But times have changed rapidly, and so have the patterns of human behavior. It seems modern man has all but abandoned the concept of day and night. The combined experience of so many generations, the bright minds of so many humans, all culminating in this urban jungle that never sleeps. Who would have thought that this crowning achievement would one day be the cause of their downfall? You speak like you have respect for life, but to me your words are mockery. I can sense the malice in them. This is because I do not like it here at all. Or, allow me to rephrase that. I really despise this city. The people had a chance to realize the truth as I did, but they were overwhelmed by the details of prosperity, lulled by the shallow promise of superficial comfort, and they gladly succumbed to it without a hint of resistance. At the smallest sight of something just a tiny bit bigger, better, smarter, greater than them, people instantly become blind, proud, irreverent, unwilling to accept an even higher level of truth, set in their ways and satisfied with their puny existence. In their eyes, they already have enough miracles. Look down at this city. All of these splendid little lights are just another charade of arrogance. Once a being that is transcendent itself is revealed, they will all realize they were ants trapped inside their pathetic little anthill all this time. But they have long made their choice, whether knowingly or not. What's done is done, and their role now is simply to serve as the light that ushers in the ultimate truth. You seem very certain of what you're doing. Such is the difference between us. You lack vision and determination. The gap between us is more apparent than ever. The use of words ends here. If there is any doubt left in your mind, let what happened next tell you everything. He turns away. Never look at me again. The darkness pulsing in the vast sky has reached a greater scale by now. I realize what it means, even though I can't see it clearly yet. It is the same presence, the same apparition in the sky that brought doom and despair on down on Torah during the city's final moment. Without Dan's passageway and Yasmin's last push, I would have been able to see more of what's going to happen after. I never did, and I can't help but think that despite my morbid curiosity, it was for the best. But the light that appears before us is different this time. It is still dense with something deeply unsettling, but the true fear comes from personal experience. From one's own dreadful imagination of what will happen next. Having experienced it before, it's easy to sense that something is missing this time. It is no doubt powerful, but somehow it still feels less oppressive on the soul. At Torah, I felt like a sea anemone discovering a whale swimming overhead for the first time. Now, it is still a whale, but it's more like looking at a picture of it rather than it actually being there. These images, they are also part of your deception, aren't they? To us, the logic of it is chaotic and impossible to grasp. It acts more like a natural disaster that sweeps everything away. It has never chosen to start anything and never known what it means to stop. And perhaps it just doesn't care. It is impossible for me to directly use its arrival to ignite the shining light of fear. All sense of order on Earth as we know it would dissipate into nothingness long before that. Emotions such as fear would drift away to insignificance, thus interrupting the core principle of the ritual. A paradox, if you will. That is why I need its shadow. I need the idea of this existence, not the fact. This will allow me to drain enough fear from this city. It draws itself across 3 dimensions. It is indeed a trick, a decision, as you so bluntly put it. Afterwards, still, things would go their pure, unadulterated way, and was always intended.
Do you expect a thank you from me for being so honest?
You speak of honesty as if it's such a high virtue. Lies are just a tool, and everyone in this city will be deceived by me, just like you.
I know all about your petty tricks now.
Yes, so what? What's done is done. Even if I confess every single thing you do, nothing changes. Everything has been decided, so what could you possibly do? ... Please, take a close look. Stop lying to yourself. Do you see? It has already begun.
As he speaks, the sky changes once again.
The darkness that fills the sky is distorting the light, like a curtain obscuring the view. The cloud starts to fade away and the night sky clears as the sound of a bell rings out. Though there are still a few clouds left above, nothing about them looks remotely natural. Structures emerge, strange shapes descending from above. Initially, there are circles, many of them, without luminescence, without reflections. These pure, perfectly round circles shimmer in the sky, going on and on and on, forming a strand of shape eclipsing even the size of the Milky Way. Their numbers are daunting, beyond any measure or comprehension. They are piled on top of each other, appearing and dissipating, moving as erratically as film scratches in an old movie screen. They completely take up the whole night sky. No doubt people out there must have noticed them by now, probably overcome with a sense of disbelief at the sight of this geometric intrusion. This flood of imagery redefines what chaos and disorder means. However, things become even more chaotic when these circles suddenly begin to show that bizarre color, a visual impact that defies our understanding of sight. Tora's nightmare resurface. No, this is not a tangible appearance. This old presence is just an illusion, a faint hint of what could be. It is only observing the scene from an infinite distance away. The actual thing has not invaded this world yet, and the deliverer's word are proof of that. Yes, it's an illusion, simply an illusion, not real. But it's still. At last, the curtain has been pulled back.
Huh?
Hey, look, what is that?
Where? Oh my god, it's gigantic!
Look, there's another one up there. Another what? Is that an eye? Oh my god, it's everywhere! By virtue of his unfathomable size and writhing chaos, the being occupies the whole firmament. Store manager, ... How is what you surely must be asking yourself right now. An illusion, even if it's merely a picture, is still a picture of the original. An imprint of the actual thing, so to speak. An approach, a little too clumsy for my taste, but one that has proven to be effective.
I never thought you would actually make it this far.
You saw what I did at Tora. Surely this cannot come as much a surprise to you. I am fully aware that you have retrieved your memories. Your eyes cannot deceive me. Instead of life-draining illness that generated fear back then, it will be these images this time. I am certain the effect will be much different.
I still sense a hint of modesty in your voice.
Don't you think it's a little late for that?
With you being the man who brought on the end of days?
I am simply happy, as you should be able to tell.
Oh, believe me, I can see that. The question is, how long would that happiness last?
Are you worried that I, like you,
would not be able to accept annihilation. Let me assure you, I honestly do not think it is that a big of a deal. Keep in mind my true goal. Having decided to break the thin boundary between life and death, it is of course perfectly normal to encounter a little confusion in the process. Do our thoughts breathe? Is there a heartbeat to what we are thinking? In the end, tying one's will to one's life has been nothing more than shallow wishful thinking from the very beginning. Bearing that in mind, there is absolutely no need for you to panic. Just think about it from a different perspective and we will soon meet again in a whole new world. Though I can't say that I care about that at all. Oh, is that so? You're proving to be more interesting than I thought you would be.
Damn right. I'm curious to see how much longer you'll keep up the gloating.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that.
I'm just giving you some advice, that's all. It doesn't look like you prepared a backup plan for everything It doesn't look like you prepare a backup plan for when things go wrong.
Are you implying that I'm going to fail?
Who knows?
Surely you must be joking. The bells have chimed, the sky is overcast, and we are standing on top of the tallest building in the city. Every single detail is in accordance with the condition required for the ritual. The path I am on leads to success. Whether you like it or not, it is only a matter of time before I get there. At the smallest sign of you trying to interfere, my partner here will be more than happy to stop you with as much force as required.
Please, stop, that hurts.
Do you finally see the difference between us? How about putting a brake on that
How about putting a brake on that confidence of yours? Sure, you've been meticulous in your planning, but that's not the reason you got to where you are now. There's nothing I could have done. You used trickery and powers you don't even comprehend to get to this point. I'm just a puny little human, aren't I? How great it must feel for you to have outdone me.
Quite right. It seems you're starting to accept things for what they are. You cannot sway the outcome, especially not in your current unfortunate position.
Yeah, but I may not need to. ... I won't pretend to be the hippiest kid on the block. Those days are long gone. But I saw your gray hair, so tell me, when did you last browse the internet?
Wow, is this some kind of ad? Now we see Hermitage Strange Case Files logo on the big screen. Strange Case Files? I feel like I've heard of it somewhere before. Do you remember? Oh yeah, now that you mention it. Wait, so that scary looking thing up there is part of the ad?
Seems like it. Some new form of projection technology? It looks awesome! True wisdom never gets out of style. What you consider useless advancement is our modern-day holy grail of knowledge. You may not understand it with that twisted brain of yours, but the world has long since moved on from transmitting wisdom through physical feats. Your train of thought is as outdated as stone carvings. Nowadays, myths and miracles become carefully preserved records. People are armed with science to try to explain everything. You may consider it worthless, but it's far from it. It is the unknown that scares us. Why do you think we've been looking for some more efficient method of passing on knowledge for so many centuries? Our understanding of what things actually are is no longer dependent on their simple presence and witnessing them. We have come a long way, and inherent skepticism is one of our greatest blessings.
Oh, so that's what that is.
Whoa! They must have timed this perfectly for Christmas Eve. Hey, a little earlier wouldn't have heard their marketing.
What? I don't know this game.
Oh my god, this must be a true AAA title. Just look around, it's everywhere. I've never seen an advertising campaign of this size for any game ever.
He seems a little too hyped up.
He must be a true geek. I can't say I know all that too much about that game. Me neither, but hey, this ad is really impressive. I'm tempted to go snag a copy just to see what the fuss is all about.
Let's go home for now. The others are probably waiting for us to join them. Come on!
Oh yeah, you're right. Slow down, wait for me! Ian, go outside and look. Wait, what's up? Details? See for yourself. Someone's play says a video game promotion. Looks awesome. The LED screen is buying trailer. Heritage? It's Hermitage, you barbarian. We have our limits as human beings, and we are indeed foolish, isolated, and lack knowledge. However, that's just the natural limitation of being human. While it is true that most people are not mentally prepared, the various tools we have at our disposal have filled the world with superhuman beings we couldn't have imagined in the past. Call of Cthulhu game is attractive. Video games going to Project Perform Live. The devil have come to Xingdu. What kind of game is Hermitage Tracing Files? A holographic projection practical. Game is the cool interface. Skies has a weird color. The end of the world. Xingdu is coming. Is burning. The evil has come to Xingdu. The modern age has long since become a vast ocean of knowledge and information. Because our ears and eyes have become sensitive to everything around us, soaking up every little piece of information. With the current rate at which some information is broadcast along a daily basis, no one has the time and patience to think about what they heard is true or not. We can easily manipulate how they interpret information. I don't share your obsession and knowledge. I don't need to. I wouldn't want to. I don't need to create a false truth for myself. I can just explain what I need to an underage hacker girl, pay her 3 packs of instant noodles, and watch things take their course. So basically, he's using the internet to destroy the age of fear and despair that he's trying to make because of the unknown. So if something is unknown, like the human mind will try to fill it with anything as soon as it makes sense for them. So this is why so many people believe in fake news. So basically that's what they're doing, but in a large scale. Like they're making up some sort of video game. It is like, oh, what's this? Oh, it fit with midnight. So now nobody is being despaired, looking at the sky being torn open, changing color, and people think, oh, it's all holographic, it's all science, stuff like that. All without leaving a trail of cold bodies, unlike you. It sure is Taoist. Is it Alien Invasion? Done my search. Is a video game promotion. What's in it for me? An emotional repeat. What's up? Somebody filming, please. They show pictures of the sky. We're not fighting this battle alone. We have creativity. Everyone has it. It's almost an innate talent of every human being, especially when it comes to entertainment, which is a waste of time in your eyes. I remember our talks about theater and art, and you are indeed very knowledgeable. However, you never quite understood the most crucial aspect of it all. No matter which form of art consumed, it is always in pursuit of reality. What's going on here? The sky is silvery. It looks like the galaxies open up. Is it the end of the world or what? How can you not know about this? Have you been living under a rock? Strange case files? That's actually promo for a game? A light show? People all over the city are now bathing in a phosphorescent light, the size of which they have never seen before. Happy, intimidated, confused, all sort of feelings circulate. Everyone is staring at it together, taking this in breathtaking, unexpected surprise. It looks kind of gross, to be honest. It looks super cool. Is the game out already? What an awesome ad. Wow, what the hell is this? Among all the things there are to worry about in this world, the end of days seems to be a lot lower on the list than Christmas dinner. So many people is getting crowded. Come on, over here. Come over here. Should I maybe call the police? Watch it, idiot! Ha 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 ha! What's the matter? Someone just stepped on my foot! He may be right in saying that the city's horizon are too small to ever contain the truth, but perhaps it's thanks to our narrow horizon that we're capable of protecting ourselves in the face of this looming reality. No! This is not how things were supposed to be! Perhaps influenced by all of the emotions in the air, the ghastly pile of flesh that's supposed to restrain me forgets all about its task. I pull it away from me with all the strength I can muster and approach the deliverer. He's still standing at the edge of the rooftop with a troubled expression on his face. Everything you prepared made sense. Humans are not tough or smart creatures, and even the empty shell of something they don't know is enough to fill them with fear. Even right now, the people down there are probably terrified of what they're seeing, but it's no different to them than watching a horror movie. How could you break my ritual? Who gave you this knowledge? Knowledge? That's the wrong word, I'm afraid. I'm just as ignorant to all of this as you were when you first met me. But that doesn't matter anymore. These days, I'm able to form my own ideas. Ideas? This was just an idea of yours? Thankfully, we had a little time left after discovering your real plan. From that moment on, we focused all our effort on preparing for it, and we made it just in time. Even if you're painfully old-fashioned and despise this modern world, you must have heard of video games, right? I've been so busy and stressed out trying to get everything done in a month that it cost me some of my precious hair. Luckily, we at Hermitage know how to do a job right. That's partly because of your help, too. Deliverer ... However, truth be told, I can't say it's the most interesting story ever told. The main character is an unlucky guy who runs into all kinds of supernatural trouble. The real deal, too. He makes great friends along the way, without whom he probably wouldn't stand a chance. After successfully solving a multitude of nerve-wracking cases with his friend, all the clues finally lead to the true evil mastermind, the Overlord hiding behind the curtain, who was the true culprit all along. His ultimate plan is to summon a great evil, a godlike entity, by holding a ritual in the center of the city on Christmas Eve. Just how corny and cliche is that? Deliverer ... Of course, something like this cannot be created from nothing. It takes time and effort, and lots of it. I pull from my pocket the result of Scarlett and Justin's effort and show them to my speechless nemesis. This is Cthulhu Mythos copy number 3. We had to use all of our connection to make what you're seeing now a reality. Our ads are on bestsellers list. There are internet radio discussions of our stories, videos and articles, you name it. You could say business is booming from a marketing standpoint. The point, something big is bound to happen in the city on Christmas Eve, has always been the game's biggest gimmick. Do you think they're satisfied now? So basically what the game is saying that this game took 1 month to being developed. And from looking at the graphics, they had a lot of people working on it. They did a great job at finishing this all in that short of amount of time. And they make it look like this was a true story, but here's the video game adaptation of the story. This is very funny. I'm laughing inside. He looks down at the bustling city light, his expression wrought with troubles. The special effects are truly remarkable. Where else would anyone ever find such a powerful projector? A projector that can put a picture across the sky above an entire city probably hasn't been invented yet. This is not an advertisement! I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't really want to kick you while you're down, but you've been working for us for a long time. I'm almost tempted to call you our head of marketing. No, they are nothing but phantom-like image. Untold mysteries dwell behind them. People can tell when something defies their understanding. It is their natural instinct to be scared of what they don't know. So what? In today's climate, when are we ever not afraid of something? Throughout time, humans have learned to cope with the fear of the unknown. We all deal with it our own way.
deliver ...
This is just another experience to these people. New entertainment products are released every day. We love to come up with ways to distract ourselves, be it through fear or fun. When tomorrow's news report come in, something else will have happened somewhere on the globe that will trouble people far more than a fancy video game ad. You're saying they all can just ignore all of this? This is simply ridiculous! How illogical! Don't fry your brain over this. Logic has nothing to do with this. It's simply the way we humans are. We're like ostriches, in that we love to bury our head in the sand at the smallest sign of stress or pressure. That's how we cope with reality. You can't possibly wake up someone who is only pretending to be asleep. I just gave all these people an excuse to keep lying to themselves. Don't look down on the hopelessness of modern man. It is an underestimation you'll dearly pay for.
This light is...
This is Eloise from his art studio.
So it's already started.
Flashback.
Are you sure it will be fine? Someone is bound to notice something's wrong. As long as it doesn't cause widespread panic, it won't attract the real thing. At least that's what the professor said. We've come this far already, so let's just trust his judgment on this one.
When did you start calling that man Professor?
Huh? What do you mean?
That's okay, never mind. I guess I just didn't expect this solution to a problem this magnitude to be so absurd. He pulled me straight out of class and made me skip school just so I could help prepare this for him. I never seen him so insistent before.
But you never complained about it, did you?
Of course not. I believe in you. I trust you. I think you are much better at handling this situation than I am. I admire that.
I am? Everyone is doing their best. I'm just trying to help out as much as I can.
And that's it?
And that's it.
Cecile, that's exactly why I never complained.
Young radio host number 8. There seems to be some big news. Blog posts have been popping all over the place.
I promised you, didn't I?
It's awesome. I thought you guys were just bragging.
Nope. When I say something, I mean it.
You think we reserved the whole sky for a simple fluke? I'll let you in on a little secret. When you told me that you wanted to change the whole game from the ground up, I was pretty tempted to blackmail you.
Can't say that surprises me. I would have probably had the same idea.
Anyway, I trust that you know what you're doing. Remember to tell Justin he still owes me dinner.
Sure thing. But tell me, what made you decide to agree to this?
6 years ago, there was a spill from a chemical plant near here. My mother was one of the victims.
Neko da.
If the verdict has been delayed any longer, her family would have been crushed by the medical bills. It's still a touchy topic in the community to this day. I'm indebted to the man who made the rounds to talk to the victims. I even thought of running away from home to learn from it at one point. A little too late for it now, I guess.
So he's done this before.
He's got charisma, you know. He talked me into helping you.
That sounds just like him.
I don't know why he changed job. You should have a talk with him. If anyone's able to persuade him, it's you. There's always a story to be told, and the truth has to come out at some point.
I know. We'll do our best.
We certainly will. I'll go take a few more pictures.
The story that must be told. It's a never-ending one, if you ask me.
Publisher. With Scarlet. Congratulations! Your plan was a big success, right?
Thanks to you, we wouldn't have been able to pull this off without your help.
And we enjoy selling more books. It's certainly more fun to do something if everyone makes a profit from it. And truth be told, we are very interested in the advertising agency you're working with.
You're interested in the technology, right?
It's pretty much the same thing. That whole performance just now was really intimidating.
I'll ask around for you, but they have some special requirements that probably can't be solved with money.
Is it a big secret?
Please do me a favor and don't ask me any more questions about that.
Well, suffice it to say that I envy you.
Envy me? Although we were able to make a small splash this time, we're still far from being as astute as you was in terms of your work.
Oh, I didn't mean it in the business sense. After working in publishing and distribution for so long, I started to wonder how long it's been since we witnessed a true miracle. We often say that working an advertising campaign is a powerful profession, but a job is a job, and it's never that divine. That's what I always believed, but today you show me that such things really do vary from person to person.
Have you lost your confidence?
Let's say it's renewed my fighting spirit. After 5 or 6 years in this business, I finally discover how high I can set my goals.
Good luck with that.
Thank you for this interview. Scarlet ...
Say what you will about miracles, you're the ones who caused this one. Hang in there, heroes.
Flashback. This is the room with Yasmin. Question mark. Anyway, we'll be here for a few days, so try to get along.
What is this? You should have told me beforehand there would be a kid,
Says Dan.
Huh? Never figured you for someone who hates kids.
Stupid brute. You got something against me? Then why not say it to my face?
No need to jump at my throat. As long as you don't become a nuisance, we're good.
You sure? Then why don't you explain it to her? Slowly. Yasmin ...
Well, hello. I'm Mr. Dan, and I don't have a single problem with you, okay? I'm sure we'll be good friends.
Yasmin ...
This is...
Question mark. Nobody likes you. I'm scared.
How heartwarming.
Hey, fix your mess. Come on.
Hey, guys. What's all this about?
Hey, big dumb fella.
What is it?
Next, we have to go to the auditorium to pick up Yasmin. Are you sure you're okay with that?
I guess this is what you call a sensitive subject, right?
Come on, no dawdling. Simply treat her like a daughter. Your nationality doesn't matter. Don't take yourself so seriously.
You understand, but I wouldn't expect you to.
If it's too much trouble, I can come along and help you.
No, it's fine. I'll go.
Huh?
I can't just keep making silly faces forever, can I? I still have a level of emotional intelligence, you know. And it doesn't make sense to keep running away like this.
Wow, that almost sounds...
You didn't hear a thing, alright? Anyway, just leave it to me.
Yeah. Don't come running to me if you regret it later. Dan ...
The auditorium is this way, right?
Yasmin?
Mister, did you like my singing?
Oh, it was great. You're such a good kid.
Yeah, I'm such a good kid.
Yes, you're the best.
I'm so happy. Are we going home now?
We'll be home soon. Let's wait for the others, okay?
Okay.
Good girl. I'll buy you some candy later.
Dad says I can't eat too much sugar.
Really? What should we do instead?
Mr. Dan, when I grow up, can I visit Sophie? I want to play with Sophie.
You mean Sophia? Okay, it's a deal. Yasmin, what's wrong?
This is at the history building. Yasmin ...
No, that will be over. Discovered.
Who are you?
Tension, not necessary. Body, just borrowed. She still, one moment, will be back.
Dan ...
But help needed. Here, danger, need investigation. But interference can't, freedom, action.
I don't see any reason why I should agree to help you.
You have reason. Yes, for sake of Yasmin. Promise.
Dan.
Her safety would be danger.
Okay. Let's be clear, though. I don't trust you.
This must be what really happened last year.
What do you mean, stay put? Explain this to me.
Dan, don't do this.
Question mark. Oh, so this is probably store manager because he doesn't have... Okay, store manager, before he was store manager, never had a name. So this is actually him talking.
We have very little time and no way of knowing what the person who took the artifact wants. That's why it's been more important that he doesn't notice the change in circumstances. He's still in the dark, and the only way we have an opportunity to learn more about what's going on is if we make sure it stays that way.
Followed by a fight to the death? Is that what you expect? To throw our lives away? There is a limit to what you can ask of us.
It's the best options we have. With everything that's been taking place at the school, you don't think we can just keep quiet and run away from it all, do you?
But there has to be a way to get out of there without Yasmin having to suffer through all of this. I won't have her to be used like this.
Calm down. We'll only be truly safe once the problem has been solved. Whether it's us or Yasmin, everyone here is on the same boat, so don't get carried away.
Phew, that almost sounds like some things a villain would say.
I can't accept this. Whatever you want me to do, don't ask me to do nothing.
Doing nothing? That's an actual strategy itself in a way, isn't it? I know you're worried about Yasmin's safety. However, a little patience goes a long way. Dan. Get a good night's sleep, everyone. I'm afraid we won't get much sleep tomorrow night if things go according to plan.
Mister, did you get in a fight?
Oh, no, nothing like that.
Oh.
So, Yasmin, if anything seems strange at the rehearsal tomorrow, you have to run outside the school immediately. Do you hear me?
I'm going to visit my friend Sophie!
That might be a little difficult right now, I'm afraid. But don't worry, we'll protect you.
What have we done?
Mister, I'm not feeling well.
Stop talking. Come on. Take a deep breath.
Give up. This is because of your companion's recklessness. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do now, even if the being in contact with this child is more than capable.
You, get out of here. Say something snarky.
Really? I do think there are some more constructive proposal here. Your name is Dan, right? If I told you there was a way for this child to escape her fate, would you help me accomplish it?
Dan.
It's really quite simple. Just don't let it happen if you don't want to see the result.
What did you say?
I can help you survive this impending doom. However, even with my experience, there is no guarantee that you will still be yourself afterwards. The choice is yours. If you already made up your mind, come with me.
That's what he did.
It's that simple.
This is Zach.
Just give them an answer and they won't consider any other possibilities. It's just a game. The explanation itself doesn't really matter. As long as they believe that your human was capable of doing it, the rest of the problem basically solves itself.
Dan. Dan doesn't respond immediately. The giant man is just standing there, rigid as a statue. So he's... Okay, so I don't know what exactly happened when they used the trap on him. But it seems to be coming out of the debris and he's raising it with his... He's benching the debris to get out of there. He couldn't move even if he wanted to. Zach looks at his silent opponent and lets out a sigh of relief. They all experienced a crash landing just now. While Zach and the others were closing in on Dan as a distraction, Cecile promptly activated a mechanism they prepared in advance. Neko positioned a dangerous chemical on the factory beams. After being ignited by electric spark, it can reach a detonation speed of 10 kilometers per second, and the results are predictable. The floor of the abandoned factory that once carried tons of manufacturing equipment is incredibly thick. It's absurd to think that such a layer of reinforced concrete will be held up by a single human being. As it turns out, Zack is still underestimating Dan's ability. After the floor gave way beneath him, the giant man fell into the basement below the factory. However, Zack had reason to believe that this wouldn't cause Dan much physical pain. Since puncture wounds doesn't seem to bother him, a few meters of free fall probably wouldn't do him any harm either. Dan's behavior has become completely irrational. However, since he persisted in going after Zack, this ending was inevitable. Zack's goal remaining the same. All of these weapons, traps, and setups serve only one purpose: to stand up against Dan as long as possible. Although the process wasn't quite what he expected, it yielded the required result, at least for the time being.
Ugh! Crap! I'm being treated like a circus monkey! Don't be like that. A monkey was once pretty much in the same position you're in now. That guy had a whole bunch of people fooling around too. Cut the crap. Just give up. There's no point in dragging this out any further. We've tampered with all the beans and columns in this factory, and if you keep struggling, you're just going to get stuck even more.
At least that's what Neko said, Zack adds silently. Zack can see the window from his angle, but the boy can imagine the chaos and confusion all the smoke and dust would have caused outside. The whole plan worked surprisingly well. They probably brought down 2 whole floors. Dan landed in the middle of the room, so the impact didn't cause any more chain reaction, allowing Zack to teeter on the very edge of the destruction.
We've been working all month to catch you. You're not going to get out of here this time. You really didn't think you could trap me like this, did you? We almost succeeded in Tora. You haven't forgotten that, have you? The liquid nitrogen? Huh, I didn't think you had any brains. I might just be a brute fool, but I have help.
Dan
I couldn't get everything of this building ready by myself. You're not going up against me. You're going up against all of us. That's the difference between us. Your memory doesn't seem very useful, and I have friends of my own. Come on, don't lie. If your friend had already done his job, I wouldn't still be here right now. That tells me he's in big trouble. You're going up against all of us, not just me. And yet your oh-so-great store manager is nowhere to be seen. You've been with him longer than I have. You should know he's not the emotional type. Yes, I know.
Dan seems to be losing his will to fight. He's still upright, but his momentum is slowing down. The stinging sensation of Zack's skin finally subsides, and he can't help but breathe a sigh of relief. In truth, he's not sure what to do next. According to Neko, the factory beam support structure is much sturdier and heavier than it looks, but Zack can't just let Dan be found here among the rubble and wreckage. He could also continue to follow the plan and work with his companion to empty the liquid nitrogen tanks seated in the corner of the room one by one, chipping away at Dan slowly but surely. That plan that sounds cowardly and inhumane, but is the least risky way to go about it. If that doesn't work, nothing else will either. Looking at the motionless opponent in front of him, Zack can reconcile it with his heart to give his companions the execution order. Dan, Suddenly Dan calls out to Zack in a soft, almost fatherly voice.
Kid, come here. What? Hey, don't make a move, I'm telling you. Shut up and come here.
Zack, What is he trying to do? Dan's expression is stern and serious, a far cry from the one he was wearing only 5 minutes ago. Crushed under so many bricks and tiles, there shouldn't be any way for him to cause as much trouble as before. This is probably as safe as a time as any to approach him. After weighing his options, Zack decided to trust his arch enemy one more time. Will he fight back? Is he just going to hurl insults at him? Or does he have a backup plan and he wants to stall for time? Zack repeatedly goes through all the different possibilities in his mind. He controls his breathing and moves carefully, minimizing any potential danger by paying the utmost attention. No problem, everything should be fine. There's no problem. He's now standing dangerously close to his opponent.
Just say what you have to say, I'm listening.
How nice of you to consider yourself a winner so quickly.
I'm serious.
Dan ... I remember you saying that you were willing to give yourself up for your goals.
That's right, although I didn't really give up in the end. There was something in the water you gave me back then, wasn't there? Thanks.
Aha, don't worry about it. You were never meant to be one of them. I was just saving your life out of curiosity.
You regret it?
I never regretted it.
I never have, and I never will.
Talking about curiosity, what would you do if you had to choose again?
Give yourself up?
Help a friend? How little do you care about yourself? I saw that long ago. There's no need to prove it again. But right now, at this point in time, are you still willing to sacrifice everything to help others?
I didn't think you were the kind of guy to ask such silly questions.
But that's because it comes down to this. You choose to be with them, and I choose to be them, which is why we're not the same.
I don't get it.
We're not the same, but you still have a chance to switch sides.
Things have a way of working out, just not the way you want them to.
Zack,
I don't think she wants the world to be the way you want it to be either. No one fits into that world and no one will be happy there. Yasmin doesn't want anyone to be sad.
I don't believe that.
I wouldn't have believed it either. I don't know her that well, but the manager came out of this whole thing alive, and I wouldn't have believed that either. Become me.
What did you say?
Join me, and you'll never have to betray anyone ever again.
Zack ...
What? You don't have the guts to do it? So that's what you're after. Well, I'm not doing it. I'm trying to find a way to coexist peacefully, and you're getting in the way of that. If you want to keep lying to yourself, that's fine, but don't treat everyone else as if they're a coward like you.
Coexist, huh? We sure are different.
That's true. I don't need to say it another 3 or 4 times, do I?
Okay, fine. Dan smiles oddly.
Then, prove yourself in a different way.
Along with the giant man's words, something happens that Zack never expected. The world is shaking.
What?
An earthquake? That's the first thing that comes to mind, but it's quickly overruled by Zack's rationality. That would be pretty random, and Dan's appearance clearly had something to do with it.
Boy, don't forget I'm still a human being. Even if you restrict me like this, I still have a mind. Can you pull a beam crook by mind power alone? Don't make me laugh. Who knows? Since we're humans, it's normal for us to use tools, right? It just so happens that my whole body is a borrowed tool.
Zack ... Though it takes him a while to understand what Dan means by tool, Zack is beginning to get the full picture now. It is true that Zack's companion haven't tampered with all of the beams and support, but that doesn't mean the factory can withstand a large hole being blown open in the center. They calculated that Zack could safely escape from all of this, but that was in regards of the building's slow, planned collapse, not its random destruction. If the damage is greater and more rapid than expected, who knows how long the decrepit building will last. And that is what's happening right now.
Hey, don't be ridiculous! This whole place is going to collapse!
Okay, now Dan is turned into one of those black mask creeps.
And you think I care?
Dan laughs mockingly, and as he moves, all the supporting columns in the factory start shaking, rocked to their very foundation. It is clear that they did the demolition job a little too well. Crap! Patty, run! This place is collapsing! Panic, the one and only thing Zach can remember to do is call out his friend's name. But where can they run to? The whole building is coming down, and Zach can't even find a stable spot to stand on except for where he is right now. And that spot too is about to crumble our way under his feet any second now. Help! Zach hears the desperate cries and pleas for help. In a situation like this, the higher you stand, the greater danger. Unfortunately for his companions, they are high up and not with him in the hole that burst open during the collapse. Before Zach has a chance to react, a pillar crashes down in the direction of the anguished cry for help. Smoke and dust rise up, and suddenly there are no more cries from that direction. Shit! Zach is in a panic, but panic won't solve any of his problems right now. There are so many things to look out for. How about it? Who are you going to help? Shut up! Why is this happening? Why? Zach digs his nail into his palm as he clenches his fist. In the midst of the collapse, surrounded by debris and destruction, one single arrogant laugh can be heard. This is your limit! No matter how much you want it, no matter what you tell yourself, playing the hero won't suddenly make you grow wings! You are nothing more than a sad sack of... Zach's words stop abruptly. Something is happening to Dan that he didn't see coming. After the structure collapsed, the weight of the bricks and tiles descended upon everyone, even Dan. And it gets worse. Several containers that were stored away in the corners of the room has been smashed open by falling rocks and are spitting large amount of cold air. The beams are tilting towards the giant man, the crumbling walls weighing down on his body, one after the other. Dan looks like the mythical Hercules holding up a huge concrete mass above his head, his feet almost sinking into the ground. The weight keeps building and Dan is struggling to hold it up, his smile growing more tense by the second. Wait, that means he can't be killed this way. Reality has come crashing down on Dan's dwindling flesh as to prove this hypothesis. Dan's muscles are reaching their breaking point, veins throbbing under his flaming skin. The bones of the giant man are cracking as much as the building around them, playing a symphony of destruction. A human body cannot support an entire ceiling. Even so, Dan is smiling. Get used to this. There'll be a lot more of this in the future. Just wait and see what happens. His body is falling apart alongside everything else. It isn't a purely physical disintegration, but a sort of gradual necrosis from the inside out. And Zach can hear Dan's body making squelching sound as it turns less and less human. Hey, don't just decide to die, do you hear me? If this is how I die, then I'm fine with it. This is a human death. Without enough supporting pillar, everything comes crashing down at a rapid rate. The ceiling is like a black canopy of death, crumbling down into the giant man's beneath it. Don't play around, you haven't paid your debts yet. Come on here and settle the score with me. Zach picks up a steel rod from the ground and sticks it beneath the concrete as makeshift support beam next to Dan, but his efforts are as futile as his furious cursing. In response to the teenager's yells, the giant man makes a final wicked declaration. I'll be waiting for you, kid. Wait! Dot dot dot. Dot dot dot. Everything is white. Dot dot dot. Zach. Shit, are you kidding me? Fatty. Zach. Okay. He can hear the vague cries of his companion and rapid footsteps approaching him through the mounds of broken bricks and tiles. Zach breathes a sigh of relief at the news that his friend survived, if only just. I'm not dead, I didn't get crushed.
fatty. What? Were you hoping I would be? Just kidding. Somehow, the happiness Zach should be feeling right now doesn't come. Zach has always been aware of his physical strength. His legs alone would have been enough to keep him alive just now. At the last minute, he saw dust and smoke issuing from below him. The ceiling hasn't actually crashed down on them at that point. Some sort of impact lifted him up, forcing it back. I'll be waiting for you, kid. Zack pulls himself up in the help of his friends who expect a huge trail of destruction behind him. Wreckage, broken walls. There is no room or crevice for a 2-meter tall man to fit into, even though he should technically be buried somewhere under the rubble. What did these last words mean? Zack had no idea. He decided to put that particular problem aside for now. Justin is here. We're actually still alive. All of us. Hey, could you say that a little nicer? Alright, good job. Does your phone still work? Del Neko and the manager. Are you sure it's over? Despite of all that, he wasn't entirely human after all. Justin isn't about to let this go, and Zack considered what to say next, hesitating before he answered the detective's questions. Zack ... That's right. It's over. Everything's solved. It's all over. Lazarus signed. Successfully complete the final ending. Alright. We finished the game. Friday, February 16th. Phew! Am I glad that's over? Interviews are rarely pleasant, but Justin feels good about this one. These past 2 months have been the busiest for the detective in quite a while. With the Christmas chaos resolved, the city soon returned to normal. As always, people don't seem to want to raise any more questions than they have to. With the source of it all gone, any interest in what happened quickly subsided and was forgotten about. However, it's not like nobody caught wind of what happened. People have been talking, and everyone at Hermitage has been busy scouring the city for rumors about that night in an attempt to stop them from spreading. Naturally, Justin has been taking this job very seriously. Disguised as a journalist, he established contact with people who claimed to have seen strange things on Christmas Eve. During these conversations, he cleverly manipulated them to the point where they were no longer sure what they saw was ever real. It takes a lot of acting skills and talent for improvisation to deliberately sabotage an interview. After all, Justin knows best whether the rumors are true or not. Surprisingly, this job is easier than he thought it would be. The store manager gamble paid off. Hermitage, true owner, never managed to summon the greater being, and while the terrifying apparition and images in the night raises suspicion and cause panic, that's all there was. The threat was quickly snuffed out in its infancy. Leave it to smart people to save a world of blissful ignorance. As the deliverer mentioned himself, fear and despair were the fuel he needed, and he wanted citywide unrest. Fortunately, the detective and his friends were able to stop the fear from spreading with the help of a ridiculous, albeit genius, ploy. For a variety of reasons, the game called Strange Case Files was shelved shortly after its release due to its sensitive content. This naturally led to a small wave of conspiracy theories, but nothing the world couldn't handle. There is only so much work that can be done in a month, not to mention the fact that Justin and Scarlett's main focus was on making all kinds of connections. Although the store manager's good writing did appeal to some people, the game's sales were still disproportionately low compared to its fancy publicity stunt. Even though the production cost was close to zero, after several hasty last-minute changes and adjustments, it received a lackluster score from the gaming press. Fortunately, aside from a handful of frustrated collaborators, the entire production team had no complaints about it. What counts most is that the game had a Christmas chapter. God damn.
Justin heard from the store manager that within seconds of the advertising campaign, air quote, the deliverers suddenly transform into the indeterminate mass of flesh all of them have come to know it all too well. No attack, no attempt to flee. In the end, he ended up a limp, lifeless clump of matter. Justin had imagined countless possibilities concerning their confrontation, as well as all sorts of good or bad endings. But he never thought that it would all end so quietly. It exceeded his expectation, but it also made sense. Failure comes at a cost. The man simply did too many things he shouldn't have, and pushed himself into the entire city to the limit with one unimaginable event after another. There is no way to walk away from something like that. Unlike Hilda, the deliverer doesn't even have a final resting place. At the end of the day, as a final gesture of kindness to a stranger's lost soul driven to madness, they commissioned one of Scarlett's contacts to transport a box full of gooey dead matter to the countryside near Lucerne for a hasty burial. Justin can't even really remember the man's face. He only met him once, and his words were just as strange and enigmatic as the man itself. Although the words themselves seemed genuine, they were in hindsight less sincere than even the most hypocritical of lies. However, mistakes of the past and the associated remorse are starting to lose their importance. As time goes on, it becomes obvious that seeking blame in the past amounts to nothing. When it comes down to it, Justin is satisfied with the outcome and wouldn't change it for the world. Cecile returned to Phoenix High to continue her studies in earnest. Her wounds were finally starting to heal, much to her relief. Isn't it strange how long a simple injury for a bike ride accident can last? With her newfound courage and open approach, her interpersonal relationship healed even quicker than the wound. Though Eloise has her handful with her final exams, there is still always a place in the art club for Cecile. It came up as no surprise that things didn't go well for Zach. After skipping a lot of classes for no apparent reason in order to participate in the investigation, the school is watching him with an eagle's eyes and has arranged for a teacher to accompany him at all times to prevent him from slacking off. He still has no plan as to ever be a regular student. Zach is still using his connection to help investigate any lilac grass that may have been left behind at local schools, and is also looking for a place where some companions of his, who don't exactly have it easy, can peacefully settle down. So far, no one has found a way to restore the body of someone who has fully transformed. Justin and Scarlett managed to intercept a transformation device that got bagged as evidence from the police station, but the maker of the device never designed it to operate in the reverse. Offering these poor people good lives is a daunting task. Although the shacks on the city's outskirts are a good temporary solution, it will take a lot of effort for them to live a life free of social contempt. Neko is still staying at Hermitage, but the store manager can't seem to stand the thought of someone living an even sloppier lifestyle than he does. He has only recently managed to clear out a little space on the second floor so that Neko can have a relatively normal living environment at the very least. Taking care of the little girl isn't all too hard for the store manager, especially now that he's no longer bound to the store. In fact, Neko is the most active of the group. She has managed to completely break off her relationship with her former guardian and is now focusing on the aftermath of Christmas Eve. Justin had a few serious conversations with her about the future, but it's clear that the little devil has been a nomad for too long. She will never be satisfied with sticking to a regular routine. The best the detective has managed to do is to get her to have a look around and Google some stuff. There's still a long way to go before she will ever attend school. Scarlett and the store manager, on the other hand, have been busy interfering with the disposal of the abandoned factory's ruins. Naturally, the Housing and Development Department isn't happy to have people come in and tell them what to do for no valid reason, but with their connection and their ability to talk circles around people, they have been successful with their plan so far. Simply put, too many secrets are hidden behind those walls that must never be allowed to leak out. The most troublesome things is that even though there is a mountain of confidential documents about it, no agency official has stepped forward yet, which frustrates them to no end. Justin knows that there are some things buried there that the two definitely won't miss, such as Dan's body beneath the rubble or the spirit transfer device. Letting go of those is the easiest thing in the world. So naturally, the workload of the Golden Maxime law firm has been dumped on Justin. He doesn't know how to feel about that yet, but his first impression is not good. Now that I think about it, it's been quite a while since we last saw each other. Cecile and Zach are still students after all, and can't bend their schedules to their liking like Justin can at his job. Because of that, when the right winter holiday came, they hung around at the store as often as they possibly could, spending time with the store manager and helping with the aftermath of it all. Because of everything that happened, both Neko and Justin are flooded with more side jobs than ever before. They also help Scarlett keep the office clean, a task that by itself is enough to make Justin feel as if he's rapidly balding from the stress. However, when you are busy at work, you should always find time to do something meaningful for yourself every day. He returns to the place that has become somewhat of a second home to him by now. Hermitage doesn't have a business sign up today, but it's buzzing with even more noise than usual inside. What? How could you forget that? I put it on the shopping list in pink neon letters. Well... It's a New Year's Eve dinner and you're missing vital ingredients. You are so old. Shouldn't you know better than that? Neko, I think there's a strange smell coming from upstairs. Oh, Cecile, don't worry. That's the soup I'm making.
Holy crap, is that normal? Can soup really smell like that?
I'm starting to have my doubts about whether I'll survive this night.
Meow.
No matter what the world out there is like, peace and happiness shall prevail today. A celebration of friendship, a warm reunion of inseparable companions bonded by fate. Justin can't help but smile as he opens the door. What's going on in here? You guys started without me. No matter what the future holds, the present is something to cherish. Now we see a picture of the store manager. We have Cecile with a band-aid on the cheek. We have Zach, who's looking well. There's Neko from a different angle, looks sharp. We see the cat Blue, and we see Scarlett sitting on some sort of leg rest or something, I don't know. Through trials and tribulation, the story of the past year has at last come to an end. Hermitage, Strange Case File, the end. Now we have the credits. Creative Director, Yan Gai. Art Director, W3. Character Design, Yan Gai, W3. Game Designer, Yan Gai, Jetchu. Story, Yan Gai, Panda Chen. Software, Yang Wei Chen, Yuan Hongato. UI Design, Kikyo Zhang, W3. 2D Art, W3, Kikyo Zhang. It's gonna be the same name over and over again, eh? 2D Art Partner, Miwashi, Nazgul, and some Chinese name. CG Art Partner, Miwashi, Betty Ichiko, Jiayu Saka, and more Japanese name. CG Art Planner, Adia Digital Art Co. Limited. Item Art, Kikyo Zhang. Item Art Partner, Adia Digital Art Co. Limited. Animation, Yang Wei Chen, W3 Yang Gai. Music Sound Partner, Vanguard Sound. Music, Rabbit J, Hello Week. Sound Design, Rabbit J. Producer, Jetchu. Publisher, Geeku Games. Special thanks, Labyrinth, Guomai Culture, Stage First, Indie Light, 42 and Crap Tears from gcores.com. All the keen advisor and supporter in the making of this game, and you. Return to menu, press X. Okay. Alright, so that concludes the game. Am I glad to finish it? Yes. What do I think about this game? Should I recommend it? This is hard because the game felt lackluster in more than one way, but the game is also self-aware at the end. It has an amazing ending. It feels like this should have been a regular novel, or maybe if it was from a short story, it was a weird adaptation. There are so many lengthy ways when I'm reading, maybe because I don't know if it's the jazz music that helps or that contributes to it, but every time that I read, I feel drowsy, I feel sleepy. There are some length that, okay, you probably felt that when I was reading, that was dozing off, and I need to wake myself up, and sometimes it wasn't enough. And only during those action scenes I was very aware, and this is where I have my best work. I'm really glad with my voice of Dan. The deliverer, I tried to make a neutral voice because I had no idea that he was the main guy, the main villain at the end. Kind of amazing. The fact that, okay, it's an indie game, it's a Chinese translation, there was so much weird sentences that are way too long and stuff like that. I didn't feel at ease at some point. It was weird. So I have mixed feeling. Like, I know it's lackluster, but at the same time, there are like what, 12 people working in this game. And if they told me that this game was made inside of 2 months, I would believe them. Like, the production cost of this game didn't seem to be as high as they think, and maybe like it's a reason why the game was so cheap or on sale for a long period of time, probably because the production cost was so low they could manage to make it on sale for so long. I feel like even if it's on sale, they still make money out of it. But this game, under 20 bucks, they wouldn't make a profit. That's all I'm saying. So this is how much as I thought that I think I paid. Like, I think the original price was 40 bucks, but this game is worth 20 bucks. It's a bang for a buck because there's a lot of hours into it. It's like, this is a 50-hour game for 25 bucks. But like I said to many people, like, if you're a big Cthulhu fan and you want to see derivative work, there's a lot of reference, even though like they're self-aware. The punchline is like the final twist, the denouement, how they defeated this plan that they could never stop was nothing short of brilliant. And when you think about it, during the whole process of making this final plan, they must have thought throughout the whole way, this plan is stupid. How is this supposed to work? And they were relying on the fact that the ceremony would succeed. And it would be like the sky were breaking apart. They basically built this plan without knowing what was going to happen on Christmas Eve. And the bigger the chaos, the better the plan worked. That's how ingenious this game is. I wish I could write that story, but if I was to write that story, that plot, I'm probably gonna write it another way.